Yo, what's up guys? So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Hinata, Tenten, Fu and female Haku, part 2. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic MRAY 4TW, link is in the description, and also subscribe to my channel, and like this video. Let's begin the video. They were completely speechless with mouths agape. The dead last of the class just beat the second best of the class in Taijutsu, and made it look easy. Naruto was the first to regain the power of speech, but his words were still barely coherent. Hina lost to Naruto. Naruto walked up to Shikamaru and retrieved his Tenten from the unmoving boy, and strapped it back in its rightful place. Thanks to Shikamaru, Naruto stated. Shikamaru blinked. This is beyond troublesome. Damn Naruto, where did that come from? Is it really that surprising? I mean, all I did was spar with him. He was going to kick me in my fucking groin, so I fucking countered it. That's all. Naruto defended, getting increasingly incensed. You know how painful kicks down there, or have you ever gotten kicked there? It was unexpected that Shikamaru began. So what? Am I supposed to just grovel in front of people who are better than me? He's supposed to beat me in a match because I'm a dead last. He retorted angrily. I have at least twice as much potential as everyone else. He added in his mind. So true. That was a hard hit though. We still actually need the brat to take the exams tomorrow. Shikamaru silently stared at the boy in front of him. The boy's eyes seemed to slightly glaze over whenever he thought to himself, as it were the case now. It was almost as if he were talking to someone. Naruto is such an enigma. Naruto sighed as he regrounded himself in reality. Sorry for my outburst, Shikamaru. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way though. It's just that you normally suck. And now you don't. How do I put this? Shikamaru stumbled. I get it. With that said, Naruto turned on his heel and walked off back to class. Not sure what to do anymore, Naruto followed shortly afterwards. It was only after the two boys left that everything erupted into chaos. What the hell just happened? The dead last beat him. Kiba lost. Rona, you bet me 15 Ryo that Kiba would win. Pay up. Mizuki slipped away, no doubt to do some serious thinking about what he just saw. That left Iruka to clean up the aftermath. The dope did it. That's more evidence that points to him knowing and being capable of more than he lets on. Perhaps I'll find out something more under those goggles. After all, even with his new outfit, he kept his goggles on. There has to be a legitimate reason. Sasuke thought, walking off to sit under a tree to watch the development. Perhaps someone may even unconsciously yell a viable theory as to how and why Naruto won. Surprising. It's almost as if it's a brand new Naruto. He gives off a more confident and serious vibe, and he sounds refined. My insects insist that it is indeed him, identifying him by his chakra signature. This requires more information. Was he holding back or acting irrationally on purpose? He couldn't have amassed the skills to beat a Taijutsu brawler like Kiba in just a day, or even a month when Kiba has practiced every day even before attending the academy. He had to have been receiving special tutoring for some time. But why would he hide his skills? To what end? The Stoic Bug user remained unreadable to the outside world. But it was obvious that he was thinking of the match who wouldn't be. Naruto-kun won. Hinata breathed a little easier. She had worried that Naruto would have gotten hurt and lost badly to Kiba. It seemed that her concerns had been for nothing. But she couldn't help but wonder if his new behavior was due to what had happened the day before. She blushed when she remembered that she had broken down his door, and how Harry acted when he found out what she did. Ino picked up a stick and poked the still unconscious Kiba in the side, but found him unresponsive. Is he dead? He's not dead, Ino pig. He's only unconscious. Quit acting like such a blonde. Sakura yelled. Oh yeah? Billboard brow. Ino pig. They immediately started butting heads like cattle, fighting for dominance. Iruka gave a long exhale. It really was Naruto's gift to make a class go chaotic in no time flat. Everyone, get to class. Back into class, Naruto sighed and placed his head on the desk. As he blinked, he found himself in the mindscape in front of the seal. He peered through the bars and found the great fox sitting on his haunches, waiting for him. What do you want? I need advice. That will be one extra, you know. And I'm already on 97. As soon as I finish up to 100, you can finally fix this damn seal into something more scenic. 97. That many. Memory doesn't lie. But I never knew you counted advice. Advice counts as help. Take it or leave it. Besides, it's been more than 6 fucking years that I've been waiting. Naruto sighed. I'll take it. 98. Kyuubi nodded. What is it? Am I moving too fast? I mean, I knew I was pushing it by wearing the outfit and all, but I'm revealing some skills I think I should be keeping hidden longer still. And I don't want Ito catching on to the fact that I'm not a dunce anymore. The guy still wants my bloodline. Frankly, those skills you showed weren't overcomplicated. All you did was counter Kiba's attacks. Besides, those were his weaknesses. He didn't realize that he was the only one attacking, not to mention the fact that his attacks were just attacks with muscle. They lacked any real direction or preceding thought. I don't think you have to worry about anyone suspecting what we do or did, and it's probably far away from here. So, isn't it? Yeah. I just don't want to be suspected or put under surveillance. I don't want my name slandered or my privacy invaded. Like what the Haku did yesterday. The nine-tailed fox gave a toothy smirk. That's different. She did that out of concern. The boy defended. Feeling something foreign happening on the outside of his body, Naruto left the mindscape. Look, the guy's asleep. A civilian student exclaimed. I'm not surprised. They agreed for 15 minutes, but they were fighting it out for half an hour. His friend replied. I'm grateful. That's half an hour. I don't have to listen to Iruka-sensei's lecture. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as a half hour of sleep lost. The boys laughed but were rudely pushed out of the way by a certain Uchiha. Out of my way. Hey. Watch it. Jeez. What a prick. The raven-haired youth ignored the boys whom he had affronted. He looked at the Uzumaki who seemed asleep. Perfect. This was likely an opportune time to remove those damned goggles. His curiosity had reached its peak when he replayed the fight in his mind, and realized that whenever Naruto would be harmed in the face, he took more precautions to protect it than even his weakest vital areas. What aspiring ninja would do that? Shouldn't your vitals be the most guarded? He reached up to the sleeping boy and lifted his head with one hand. HN. Unresponsive. Must be a heavy sleeper. How pathetic. Sasuke-kun, what are you doing? Ino asked. Uchiha did not answer as he grasped the boy's goggles with his free hand and started to pull it off. Naruto's eyes opened all of a sudden and grabbed Sasuke's offending hand. What do you think you're doing, Uchiha? He bit out, already more than just a bit upset. I'm taking your goggles off. What does it look like I'm doing? The boy replied arrogantly. They're mine, so shove off. Naruto stood up and gave him a slight push away from himself. Try that again and I'll break your arm. He could still be an idiot. I could just ask him. Sasuke thought. Can I look them over? He asked. No? Sentimental value. Uchiha said something he never thought he'd say. Please. He strained. Sorry, no. Naruto was shocked to hear the Uchiha showing courtesy. Perhaps there was hope for him after all. Naruto Baka, just give Sasuke-kun the stupid goggles. Sakura yelled at the blonde-haired boy and attempted to punch him in the head. He perceived the attack and in the time it took to connect, he debated on whether or not to let her. After hesitating, he allowed her to, and it struck in the same spot where she always battered him in the past. Regardless, he didn't flinch, and his head didn't budge. She was surprised at the circumstance that he didn't cry out or keel like he usually did, and only stared at her with a countenance of mixed emotions, that being disappointment, anger and strangely relief. It hurts, you know, he said quietly. But you don't know anything about me other than my name, and you're always hitting me. I like you, Sakura. Liked, he repeatedly added emphasis to his usage of past tense, and even if you're not sorry, I am. We were shallow, and both fools. His strange expression soon twisted into a glare, and Sakura, who was still trying to process his message, winced and backed away when she saw it. I'm not anymore, and I hope you change too. Until then, never touch me again. Still not fully able to sort out what he meant, she still managed to understand the threat and retreated from him quickly. Things were quiet for the rest of the day. Quiet and inexplicable. What should we work on, Kyuubi? The exam's tomorrow. The best thing would be to study. I have that in the bag. All I have to do is to answer a few questions. I even read over everything from Hinata's notes. She's really nice. She stutters a lot around me though, but not as much around everyone else. I wonder why that is. The nine-tailed fox took a deep breath as he tried to get over the fact that his container was still far too oblivious to some things for his own good. It's just the first day. But if every day is gonna be like this, I'm going to regret not telling him today. I don't have a clue, he answered. So studying is out. Taijutsu is doing alright. That leaves Bukijutsu and Ninjutsu. My Bukijutsu needs work. I'll work on that. I'm not sure if I can throw a kunai properly, even though I remember. 99. What? No, it's not. You asked me what I thought. Which is my opinion, which is guidance, which is advice, which is help. Therefore, it's now at 99. Naruto growled in frustration. Fine. I didn't know I was that helpless. He grabbed up his shuriken and kunai holsters, before looking over the abandoned training ground he was in. Spying a training post, he approached it and set it upright and checked it. Seems to be in good condition, he muttered to himself. He backpedaled away what he guessed was 30 yards away from it, and toed a line in the dirt. I've never made it accurately from this distance. I usually miss by a couple of inches at least, and that was before you put the seal on me, he remarked out loud to the Kyuubi as much as did to himself. Just right. Every time you miss, you have to cut yourself. What? Hit yourself. Kyuubi said slowly, almost as if it were a threat. I would try my utmost best so as to avoid maiming myself. Interesting, Naruto said in mock appreciation. No. Dude, or I'll give you horrible nightmares. Naruto scoffed. Like what? Make you dream of kissing the Sandaime Hokage, for starters. Or make you relive the Anbu feeding you vegetables. What the fuck? You're sick. Get to it. It was extremely difficult, if not nigh impossible, to affect his dreams. But his container didn't need to know that motivation was needed. Naruto hurriedly got out his weapons, 3 kunai and 7 shuriken. The boy stared at the bull's eye intently. Alright. Just don't miss it. He threw the first kunai. He watched it sail through the air to the target. And hit dead center. That's pretty damn good. Do that another 10 times, then I may be impressed. You'll also get to keep your flesh in one piece, too. Naruto gulped. His physical health, or mental one, was on the line. He readied his second kunai and threw again. It struck in the center as well, and it shocked him. To even throw 2 in a row accurately at 30 yards was rare for him. Suddenly he started thinking. I wonder if this has something to do with focus. The Kyuubi had caught the thought and momentarily thought the same thing. Perhaps. Boy, focus on the bull's eye and throw 3 shuriken from each hand at the same time. I won't punish you if you miss. That should be a chunin level type of thing, right? What? I can't do that. My aim is atrocious already. Do it, or I'll change my mind about the punishment. The lad readied his shuriken. He focused on the bull's eye only just like before, exhaled and then threw the shuriken, with his hand following through with the throw. All the shuriken made it in the bull's eye at relatively the same time, seemingly competing for a chance to stick. Some had knocked the others off when reaching this small dot, but the proof was there. All the shuriken had made it to the tiny bull's eye. Do it again at 50 yards. The boy retrieved all of his weapons at the bull's eye, and repeated his success at 50 yards. Then 100. The yard number continued to grow until his aim missed, dropping below the bull's eye, due to lack of arm strength. There was no mistake. With focus, his mental acuity as well as his aim had improved 1,000-fold overnight. He couldn't miss, unless he lacked the strength to throw. Focus. Mediocre. You're right. He couldn't believe that he'd been disappointed before when he'd first gotten this aspect to his. Yada. I'm gonna rip shit up tomorrow. Watch out, Shinobi World, baddest ninja #1 is coming. The boy jumped up and down with a shit-eating grin on his face. Now for ninjutsu. Let's see. Henge, Kawarimi and Bunshin shit. The boy's happy demeanor dropped. Oh no. What is it? Kyuubi was starting to wonder if the boy was bipolar, given how quickly he changed his mood. Bunshin. What about it? Speak, boy. I don't have the chakra control for it. Kyuubi is now understood. Chakra control for the clone is impossible for you. You will never have the control to even make 10, let alone 3. I suppose that I'm to blame for that. The boy's control wasn't horrible per se. His control at the moment was excellent for an aspiring genin. He has seen chunin at their barracks walking up trees and walking on water with just chakra, and had practiced it for 18 months now. But in order to even have enough control over his bitch enhanced reserves, he would need at least 4 times the control he had now. He didn't know any more chakra control exercises at the moment, and neither did the 9 tails. In other words, unless he could get a next to impossible amount of control within the next 18 hours, he was screwed. The Bunshin is practically an image. Almost like a. That's impossible for me. Kyuubi nodded from inside the seal. For you to even make 10 Bunshin is like pouring water from a 5-gallon bucket through a straw. It's just not going to work unless you can convince them to let you create at least 40 Bunshins instead of 3. Or perhaps plead your case to the Sandaime. What if I use Bunshins instead? Naruto asked. No use. It wouldn't look like you anyway. Just a feral man version of me. Even if a henge was used on the Bunshin, they would detect it. Fuck. Naruto swore loudly. Everything is stacked against me. Do you know any other cloning techniques? Do I look like I would be busy learning Bunshin techniques from you? Kyuubi spat. Guess that's a no. I'll have to talk to Jiji then. The boy got his throwing weapons together and replaced them back into the holster and made his leave. As he ran to the Hokage Tower to see his surrogate grandfather, he wondered if he would be able to help him with his unfortunate situation. Time skip. The Sandaime Hokage stamped another document with his seal of approval. Damn it all. I'm getting too old for this shit. One of these days, I'm gonna burn it down for all the good this paperwork is. Introducing a break in his thoughts, the door opened a bit and his secretary poked her head inside. Hello, Hokage-sama. I have brought more documents that were sent here seeking approval. Great. It seems that's all my secretary is good for. To bring more paperwork. Just when I thought I was almost done. His secretary finished pushing the door open with her rear and turned around, revealing a double armful of folders of paperwork. She placed them on his desk and made a remark. Also, Hokage-sama, Uzumaki is also here to see you. Uzumaki? You can send him in. Right away, Hokage-sama. She made her way outside and told the boy outside to go in. Soon enough he did. Hi Yajiji. The boy said boisterously, I need a favor. The Hokage stared at the individual in front of him, trying to figure out if he was getting cataracts, or if he was really seeing the Uzumaki. Jiji. Hiruzen cleared his throat. Yes, hello Naruto-kun. I must say, your new look is a vast improvement. Congratulations. What inspired the change? The boy faltered a little before compassing himself. I just decided that I was unprepared for the ninja world before. And you are now? Hiruzen asked curiously. He tried to think of a safe response. Well, I guess I'm less unprepared. So what is it that you need, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked, puffing on his pipe. Normally, Naruto would come to get his allowance from him, or hide from Anbu he pranked. The latter wouldn't work anyway. But he had to concede the truth that if Naruto used his allowance to buy his new gear, it was money well spent. It's about the exams tomorrow. What about them? I can't do the Bunshin no Jutsu, Gigi. How so? Are they not battle viable, or that you can't make numbers necessary? He knew the actual problem. He was actually testing Naruto's knowledge of his handicap. I don't have the necessary chakra control to make only a few. I have to make dozens. If I don't, they will be far from sufficiently successful, Naruto explained. Basically, those academy teachers want something that I can't give. Sarutobi studied the whiskered boy in front of him. His vocabulary has improved, as well as his knowledge of his drawbacks. He's also more settled and refined, somewhat. He's matured, but when? Is it due to his childhood abuse that sped it up? But I saw him last week and he was still behaving like a cheeky brat. Something happened between now and then. Perhaps the stress of the Genin exams had caused it. But he's normally too headstrong to ask for help. I wonder. I'm sorry, Naruto. There are no known control exercises that could help, at least none that can work overnight, not to mention that there's a reason why they don't perform that particular task. I acknowledge that it's very difficult on their high chakra reserves, as well as being next to useless in battle, being only illusions that cast no shadow of their own. Then why are we learning it? Naruto asked, frustrated. It's because it's a Genin level technique. They are considered that because if you cannot perform them at that level, then you are not considered worthy of being a ninja. However, after enough progress, Genin will pick up higher level clones from their instructors like elemental bunshins. By the time your age, you pick up the shadow clone, those have a lot of potential. But it is forbidden, severely taxing on chakra reserves. This splits up your chakra evenly among the clones, so the more you create the more dangerous it is, as if you create 10 or a dozen, your reserves will be reduced to a 10th or a 12th of its original capacity. A true double-edged sword. Not to mention the mental issues from received memories when they disperse. Are you still following? Yeah. I'm still following. Were you expecting me to fall asleep or something? Yes. I did. If what you're saying is true, then why not teach me a higher Bunshin technique? Naruto pleaded. Since I have more chakra, I should learn a more advanced clone that's common sense. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. If I help you directly with your training, it would be frowned upon because of my position giving you something of an advantage, Sarutobi explained. How about indirectly then? Naruto whispered in a scandalous-sounding tone. No, Naruto. My position was built on trust. I cannot disgrace it by dealings done under the table. Naruto was disappointed. Ah, what? Isn't that what being a ninja is all about? Gotta pull a little sneaky from time to time, am I right? Seeing the man's frown made the boy deflate. Huh. What if you find some way for me to make more than the rule 3? Can that work? I don't predict much good coming from Naruto. It would show me making a special case for you, another example of favoritism. I cannot do anything within my power to help. Perhaps you could ask them tomorrow. The only other solution points to that of you requesting or help to teach you a new Bunshin technique. I recommend a curry favoring one right now. Now it was Naruto's face to show how upset he was, despite trying his best to hide it. He knew that the Hokage wanted what was best for him, even though this was probably one of the worst things he'd ever done to him, that is, not helping him in the way he should have. I guess so. Thanks, Gigi. You're welcome, Naruto-kun. Naruto made his exit and shut the door behind him. Sarutobi released a huge sigh. The aged Sandaime returned to his paperwork, yet unable to think of anything else than seeing the boy's disappointed and accusing expression. Accusing him of sabotage and neglect. Most likely guilty. He was especially guilty of not trying more. Time skip. Well, at least he tried. I know. But none of the higher-ups wanted to train me. Probably because of my status. Didn't know I was discriminated against by them too. So many excuses. Busy, late, don't feel like it. Sick relatives. Naruto was growing angrier with each excuse he repeated. Fuck. We'll show them Kyuubi. Why are we even trying to get on a team, anyway? Just to have one of these pricks order us around. He exclaimed the last question, exasperated almost to the point of tears. My teammates probably won't even work with me. Fuck. Each expletive growing louder than the last. He kicked down his dilapidated dining room table and it fell over, collapsing in pieces. He finally huddled in the corner of the room, crying. Why? He sobbed. I don't even want that damn hat anymore. To be the leader of a village like this. They all fucking hate me. Look, Naruto. The Kyuubi slipped and called Naruto by name, a rarity in itself. The distraught boy barely noticed his emotional state. Yeah. You know what you want. You want to kill a scum-sucking bastard who wants to eat your goddamn brains just to get here, and if he isn't wiped out, a lot of people are gonna die. You want to become someone that people can look up to, not necessarily the Hokage. You want to get powerful enough to do everything you want. And if you are going to allow a simple bunchin to stand in your way of that ambition, you're not Naruto. You're just a washed up wuss who gave up. Now get the fuck up and grow a fucking backbone. Naruto, who had been listening half-heartedly, restrained himself from laughing at the adverse temperaments in the attempted motivational speech, but it had his usual confidence and determination return, that was clear by merely looking at his eyes. That's right. He knew why he lived. If for nothing else, he wanted to avenge the death of his parents. That was his drive, and he wasn't going to have some ignorant civilians and beast ninjas stand in his way. If anything, they were the ones that pumped him full of the hate that made him want to take it out on his parents' killers. Thanks, Kyuubi. I needed that. Kurama. Excuse me. That's my name, boy. My name is Kurama. I'm getting so damn sick of you calling my title as a name. Ha. Good night, Kurama. Good night, Naruto. Time skip. Next, Uchiha Sasuke. The instructor announced. Said boy frowned and stood. Finally, it was his turn. Ninjutsu was his forte, his field of expertise in the class. He would do nothing short of perfect. He made his way to the designated room and shut the door behind him. Troublesome. Couldn't they have let me just go home? A certain Nara grumbled to his whiskered companion. I already passed. There was no need to keep me here. Quit your complaining. At least you passed. Naruto retorted, eyeing Shikamaru's aid with rising envy. He had tied it around his upper arm on his biceps. It's a forehead protector, why don't you wear it? I'm not complaining. I'm merely saying how displeased I am. And it doesn't matter where you wear it, as long as you have it in a noticeable view, it's not against the rules. And what do you mean at least I passed? Practically everyone passed. Only you and Ino are left. Troublesome. I'm saying that because there's a high chance I won't. Eh? You seem confident doing the written exam, which is unusual for you I might add. Ace to jutsu with Sasuke and Kiba. All that's left is ninjutsu, and that's a breeze. I didn't even complain about doing that. Fortune smiles on the lazy Naruto bemoaned. The door opened again to reveal a raven-haired youth sporting his aid on his forehead. He smirked and reclaimed his seat. Almost as soon as he did, fangirls surrounded him. It only served to make him drop the smirk for a look of slight exasperation. Next, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto heaved himself up and steeled himself. He went inside to see both Mizuki and Iruka sitting behind a desk, with a box with a few headbands in it. So close. Okay, Naruto. Please begin. Perform a henge. Anyone special? Naruto asked Iruka. Anyone? Naruto placed his hand in a ram hand seal. Henge. He was surrounded by a thin layer of smoke. The smoke soon cleared to reveal a perfect version of Iruka. Naruto. Pay attention. Naruto shouted in his impersonation. Excellent. The yell was comical and unnecessary though. Iruka was displeased. Now to perform a kourimi. Are you ready? Hi sensei. Iruka threw a needle at Naruto's foot and he instantly substituted for a chair. Very good. Naruto returned back to his place and waited for the words he didn't want to hear. Now, perform the bunch and no 3 of them please. And yet so far. Iruka-sensei, can I do more than 3? Mizuki spoke up for the first time. No you can't, Naruto. 3's the number set by the Academy's board. I see. So it's non-negotiable. No Naruto, they're not. Those are the rules. Prepared to fail, Naruto set his face in a grim expression. To Iruka, it was as if it were chiseled out of granite. Outside, 15 minutes later. Naruto watched the students jostle around with their parents. All were happy except for him. He could hear small exclamations of parents who claimed to be proud of their children who had passed their genin exam. Yeah. Let them celebrate. They're gonna die out there in the real world. A ninja is just a guy who kills for money. That's what it boils down to. I don't think I would have been happy either way if I had passed. It's just a means to an end. But in order to be able to carry out my purposes, I need to become a ninja. I won't get to learn anymore, and I can't get stronger. True. Hey. The dope didn't pass. What an idiot. Kiba shouted. He still kicked your ass yesterday, Kiba. I'm now 15 Ryo because you lost. Shut up, Rona. I underestimated him. Naruto ignored him. If Kiba was trying to get a rise out of him, he was going to be disappointed. He wasn't going to start up any shenanigans, but if Kiba wanted to he was going to put a stop to it. Hey dead last. Can't make a simple bunchin. You're such an idiot. Kiba taunted. No answer. Don't you hear me talking to you, Dumbus? Still no answer. Kiba stomped up to Naruto and grabbed Naruto's shoulder. The Uzumaki took a deliberate deep breath in an effort to calm himself, and failed. He'd had a very trying day. Take your hand off of my shoulder, Kiba. Naruto growled. He knew that it wasn't really Kiba's fault why he was acting like this. He was probably only feeling hyped up because he passed the exam and Naruto didn't, and he took it as a sign that he was actually better than Naruto at Taijutsu, and was aching for a rematch without any consideration for the means. Oh yeah? What are you going to do about it, dead last? Naruto grabbed the handle in his short holster. He was about to pull out the yet-to-be-discovered weapon out of it when he heard Mizuki's voice. "Oi, Naruto. I want to have a word with you," he yelled, walking up to said boy. "Inuzuka, go home. I can still renounce your ninja status, you know. It's still early." "Huh?" the boy asked to clarify. "He means it's not too late to take back your headband from you, mongrel," Naruto scoffed. "What was that?" Kiba yelled. "Enough," Mizuki ordered. "Kiba, leave." Kiba grudgingly let Naruto's shoulder go and left with his friends. He glanced back at Naruto with hate in his eyes as if to say, "This isn't over." Naruto had a bored look in his eyes that spoke volumes of indifference. He turned his attention back to his teacher. "What is it, Mizuki-sensei?" Mizuki grinned. "There's a way to still become a genin. A secondary exam, if you want to call it that." Time skip. Naruto landed on the branch neatly and leapt off to another in a ninja dash through the trees. He was doing rather well, he supposed. The better his time, the more time he had to read over the scroll. Kyuubi caught the thought. "You, of course, know that this is a trap." "I know. But I'm sure you know why I went through with this." "Hi. If you get caught, just blame it on the teacher and childish ignorance. Kurama, with my abilities, I can just read over the scroll and understand everything. With my memory, I'll remember everything, training myself for a long time. Nothing will go wrong." Kyuubi did not answer. Nothing was going right. "You just had to laugh at him, didn't you?" "It was funny. You're the nine-tailed fox," he yells at me. "I mean, I know about you for what, 4 or 5 years now? What did he expect me to do, keel over in shock and cry? And he accused me of being you?" Naruto had to cover his mouth to keep from laughing out loud. "Probably. But he is about to kill Iruka. You should do something though. Which technique have you learnt already?" "I learned the shadow clone, elemental clones and exploding clones." "Wait a minute." Naruto grew a huge grin that threatened to split his face in two. "Bunshin Daibakuha. I worry if you are still sane." "Shut up, Mizuki-team. He's not like that." Yumino yelled, panting for breath. "I'm gonna put you out of your misery, Iruka. You're only leading a pathetic existence, being a teacher to brats." Lord Orochimaru was right. This village is a waste of land space. It ought to be destroyed, with the way paved for something more glorious. Naruto peeked from around the tree. Mizuki stood with a shuriken over Iruka, who was struggling to even get to his knees. It did not look like an ideal situation for Iruka. "That's it. I'm intervening." Naruto grabbed the handle of his Tenten. "Don't kill Mizuki. It seems that he might have information on Orochimaru," the Nine-Tails warned. "This is going to be a whole lot harder if I'm not going for a killing blow." "How am I just do it? If I think you're going to lose, I'll help you by using the feral state." Naruto created a cage bunch next to him and told it to hang into the Hokage. "Go flank around," he whispered. The clone left to do as he was told as Naruto jumped out of a tree to land before the Chunin. "Or, Mizuki. So you think I'm Kyuubi, huh?" he yelled at the betrayer. "What? You should have just run away, brat." He yelled back, momentarily stopped in his process of disposing of Iruka. "If you really think I'm the nine-tailed fox demon, shouldn't you be running away? Oi, Kurama. I need some help with killing intent." The bitch compiled and channeled his concentrated killing intent at the ninja criminal, to the point of making him fall to his knees, but he fought it, soon regaining control of his legs. "I'm used to Lord Orochimaru's killing intent. Yours doesn't even come close." Mizuki strained through gritted teeth. Naruto frowned. "Damn. Maybe it's because Kurama has to channel it through me because it's not as strong as it should be." "Mizuki, what is the meaning of this? What are you doing with Iruka-sen?" The silver-haired Chunin paled when he heard the Hokage's voice. He turned around slowly to see Hiruzen, frowning like a thundercloud. After looking closer, Mizuki did a bit of a double take and grinned. "Nice try, Naruto. I see that it's just a henge. But even so, how did he do that? He can't do bunshin and bunshin can't talk or be hidden under henge. He must have learned a bunshin technique from the scroll. But which one's a clone?" He took 2 kunai and threw them at blurring speeds at both Narutos. Both exploded into smoke. One into nothing, one into a log. "Chen. Cage bunshin. Impressive. But I'm a Chunin. You're not even a genin," he yelled, looking up into the trees. He got no answer to his taunt. "If you don't come back, I'll kill Iruka." He still heard nothing except for a stray owl, hooting its cry. Deciding to make good on his threat, he looked down again while taking out a kunai. He gawked. Iruka wasn't there. "What's the matter?" The ethereal-sounding voice seemed to come from everywhere. "Where are you? I'm going to gut you like a fish," the Chunin yelled. "Alright. I'm coming," Naruto said, as if in multiple voices. "We're all coming." Before Mizuki could react to the fact that Naruto referred to himself in plural third person, 50 clones came into the clearing. As if on cue, they all grasped the secondary weapons on their waists. They all withdrew the handles at the same time and swiped it down rapidly, the weapon extending itself into a telescoping baton. They all assumed Naruto's taijutsu stance as they readied themselves. Mizuki was feeling overwhelmed, but he didn't let it show. Get him. The clones charged the traitor, bomb rushing him. Mizuki took out a kunai in each hand and prepared to defend himself. He swiped at the closest clone and he puffed away into smoke. Seeing a clone about to strike him in the face, he dropped to his knees, letting the clone strike another of his brethren. He threw one of his kunai at a very suspicious-looking clone that seemed inactive, smirking in satisfaction when he saw it bleed. All the clones dispelled. I knew you were the one. You didn't try to fight like everyone else. Mizuki walked up to the collapsed boy who was holding his chest. Mizuki readied his last kunai and chucked it at Naruto's throat, grinning in satisfaction when he saw the boy begin to bleed out. There was a momentary pause before Naruto seemed to lose color in every fiber of his being, before he fell apart into water. Water bunshin. Immediately following, an Iwa clone dropped out of the trees onto the baffled Chunin, with only his knees onto Mizuki's shoulders, and then dispersed into rocks, further injuring the man. With the silver-haired man crying out in pain, yet another voice sounded from behind him. Ton. Tatapa. Wind release. Great breakthrough, a massive and powerful wind from the clone blew the man away towards the real boy. He couldn't stop his motion when he saw the Uzumaki take out his baton and tighten his grip on it. No? Mizuki realized what was about to happen. Naruto sidestepped and caught the silver-haired man with the baton, with a devastating clothesline move, shattering his jaw. Mizuki's legs flew forward in front of him, and the man landed on his back, out cold. Naruto sighed. It was finally finished. He created some cage bunshin that each carried the man by a limb. He was joined by two more cage bunshin that had Iruka leaning on his shoulder, and another who had the forbidden scroll of seals. They walked back to the village, not one word passing between them. Time skip. Here's inside and put away the bowl. He had seen enough. They were almost here anyway. He had felt disappointed when he had learned that Naruto didn't pass his exam, but he wasn't surprised. The genin exams were practically rigged against him and creating weak genin in the process. He didn't know, couldn't help him. But somewhere along the line, he felt that he should have done more to help Naruto. But how did Naruto learn those fighting skills? Someone was helping him, but he did not know who. Or rather, he did not know of anyone willing to teach the pariah of the village of any kind. A few knocks came at the door. Here's inside. Come to Iruka-san, Naruto-kun. The door opened to reveal said people, who one of which dispelled his clones carrying Mizuki. The action dropped the traitor unceremoniously to the floor. Sarutobi sensed his Anbu about to attack, so he diverted them by ordering them to carry the unconscious man to Morino Ibiki at torture and interrogations. They disappeared with the captured man, akin to nothing more than spirits. Okage-sama, it's been a long night for me. I would like to return home, or go to a hospital, and I may have injured something. Chunin requested. Very well, Iruka. You may go. The Chunin was about to go when he hesitated. Naruto. The boy turned around to look at him. Hi. Yamino took off his headband and walked up to Naruto and dropped it into his hands. Arigato, Naruto, for saving me. I'll see you come Monday. Naruto understood but feigned ignorance. Monday? He asked. Hi. Congratulations, Naruto. You're now a ninja. Iruka said with a smile. Naruto didn't mirror the countenance. Come on, Naruto smiles a little. Why don't you put it on? Put it on your forehead, let's see how it looks. Sarutobi asked. I would rather not. I have an embarrassing scar there. Naruto said. Iruka thought back to the day before concerning the goggles fiasco. I see. Okay, he affirmed to him, not wanting to affront or offend the Uzumaki. When you're at home, then. Sarutobi, on the other hand, wasn't convinced. For as long as he knew Naruto, he didn't get scared easily, especially with his condition, that of being a Jinchuriki. Nothing short of a branding would scar him. Naruto, you're among friends. Please try it on. Aren't you excited? You're a step closer to being Hokage. I would rather not, Hokage-sama. Naruto glared. Hiruzen was surprised. He had expected Naruto to be bouncing off the walls. But he was practically behaving like a branch hike, firm, glaring, hiding his forehead and all that. However, he didn't press the issue. That's fine, Naruto. I will respect your privacy. Naruto nodded. May I leave as well? It's been ups and downs all day today, and I'm exhausted. Sarutobi frowned. There's that attitude again. That would serve everyone well, Naruto. You may come in tomorrow at 10 am to report what happened. Naruto gave a slow nod. Alright, Hokage-sama. Tomorrow. Naruto left and shut the door behind him. As he left, Kurama shrugged inside the seal. So you're a ninja now, huh? I thought you would be doing cartwheels right now. Not now, Kurama. I just want to sleep. And so he did, without even realizing he was being watched. Like a shadow, Ito followed him for a bit longer, before disappearing like the non-existent ghost he tended to be. Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed. He had completed hearing this story from both Naruto and Iruka's point of view an hour ago, and considering how he had been watching the whole development using his crystal ball technique, he knew that they did not omit any details. Because of that damn defector Mizuki, Naruto is now fully aware of his Jinchuriki status. The Hokage cursed internally, some choice swears that he hadn't used in years. He hadn't wanted Naruto to know about his inner demon, but now that he thought about it, regardless of whether or not he should have been told by Hiruzen himself from an earlier age, it hadn't been fair to assume that Naruto would never have found out about it eventually. However, one thing concerned him greatly: the boy had taken it so well. Something like that should have fazed him, despite acquiring some sense of maturity like he had seemed to have gotten overnight. Instead, Naruto laughed. But I'm sure that no one's told him. But if they did, someone's head is going to roll. Everyone in the village knew the penalty for speaking about something that is forbidden under S-rank secrecy. That was one issue. The next one, albeit less serious, was still enigmatic. Naruto, an aspiring genin, had beaten a chunin like Mizuki. The man had years of experience over Naruto with smarts and weight class, yet Naruto had tricked him, fought him and used it with a fairly high degree of proficiency, and that didn't even include the fact that Naruto was now well versed in Taijutsu. Then there was how quickly he learned the Shadow Clone, as well as the Elemental Clone variants. To even learn the Shadow Clone in a few hours is stupendous for anyone short of a genius in the Chunin, much less Elemental Bunshins as well. As it stands now, Naruto is the strongest in his class, at least twice as strong as the so-called prodigy Uchiha Sasuke. If he gets placed on that team, the team will be the strongest and imbalanced. But which team? I'll need to discuss it with the Chunin senseis tomorrow. They already know about the incident. Sarutobi rested his chin on his hands, suddenly feeling wistful. To think Naruto has grown the most and is the strongest of his generation without our assistance, as much as it shames me to say it, is unsettling. The aged Hokage puffed on his pipe twice and returned to his work. While doing so, he discovered a note between two reports that warranted his attention. I shall return to check up on the dealings of the changes I have instated. I will also need to speak to Hayashi while in your presence. I hope I receive a better reception than what I received all those years ago. I shall be there at 9 PM tonight. The man grimaced. Oh, it's the man who saved Hinata and wanted favors from us. It's going to be a long night. Time skip. The boy was currently sitting in a lotus position with his hands in a ram seal. He wasn't trying to perform or concentrating his chakra to use. He found that doing this as a form of meditation exercise helped him to relax and collect his thoughts and sift through his memories. However, one kept disturbing him, that being of how he'd gotten killed last night by Mizuki. Naruto opened his eyes and raised an eyebrow. Where did he get that visualized thought? It's as if he remembered when he obviously didn't. He visualized it again and got stuck trying to figure out why. Deciding to experiment, he created 2 KHBU and SHINS shadow clones. He whispered to one of them to dispose of the other when they were out of sight, careful to not let the other catch on that he was about to get murdered. Alright, you two, he said aloud, go into the forest. They complied and went into the dense gathering of trees. 2 minutes later, Naruto felt an influx of information, already embedding itself in his memory, never to be forgotten. Then he heard the clone he had ordered to kill the other return back to him with a smirk on his face. I got it done, boss. You gotta let me know why I had 2 off the other guy. Naruto smiled in response, fully realizing what had happened. Sure do. So you gonna tell me? Kid. You alright? You do know you're talking to yourself, right? People will think you're crazy, the fox said, speaking for the first time since the day's beginning. Huh? The clone asked. I can hear Kurama. I'm not crazy. He is. The clone said, pointing at the original Naruto. Naruto did a double take. First off, I'm not crazy. Second, Naruto pointed to his gut. Kurama is inside me, not you. How the heck did he hear the Kyuubi? Damn clone. Fucking twat. Both of the boys stopped and stared at each other. Can you hear me think? Naruto asked in his mind. No shit. Of course I can. Naruto heard the answer in his own mind, courtesy of the clone that appeared to be in thought. Kurama was he felt confused and excited. The only person he ever really had to talk to, or at, depending on how his container perceived it, was Naruto, and with this, he'd actually be able to talk to more people, even if they were technically the same brat. The seal must have made it possible for you both to communicate by telepathy. Like a connection. But why did you make him kill the other one? Kurama asked. I remember getting stabbed in the back by a kunai because of this clone here. Naruto thought with a sweat drop. The clone only smirked in response. You know, I had considered bashing his head in with a rock. Naruto looked at the clone in mild horror. Sometimes I scare myself. I heard that. The clone retorted. Kurama sighed. He had no doubt that on the outside, his container must have looked like he was in a staring contest with himself, and that he really was suffering from some kind of neurosis. He cleared his throat to get Naruto to become more aware of what he was doing, and Naruto sighed while dispelling the clone. Anyway, he thought to Kurama. So these clones pass on memories when they disperse. This has loads of benefits, like for scouting things out, and going into hazardous situations, when and where I can't risk myself going into. Think about it, the cogwheels in Naruto's head started grinding. I could be my own team. Not a registered team, but one I have in case my so-called future teammates let me down. This must be an answer to my prayers. A team that you could rely on, one that is expendable and able to communicate through literal speech. But a team would need diverse talents. Not everyone is exactly the same. So it's not an ideal team. Kitsune replied. A team of people, that is, you, could be skilled, but it'd have a lot of problems with versatility. Just think about it. If they can pass on memories, they might be able to pass on several forms of progress. Or even my elemental clones. Each elemental clone might be able to train affinities until they become strong, and pass them to me upon dispelling. You're the one who helps me to make those clones anyway, since you're the one who knows what the hell chakra is, what kind of yin and yang composes it and can recreate it. You could make the elemental versions of the shadow clones. Sounds viable theoretically. Perhaps I could even use my own bitch chakra and vitality to make the clones longer lasting. Imagine, like you said. You could even have these clones training by using clones themselves. With the important clones to spell you could gain years upon years of training, all in a month or two. I like it, the boy exclaimed. We won't need the village's mediocre team. We'll do it ourselves. But what will we call ourselves? Wait, do we need to give ourselves a name? He hesitated a bit before making up his mind. Yeah, we'll name ourselves. The Grey Fox thought for a moment. The idiot and his clones, he asked humorously. No? The boy was not amused. How about the Tenacious 13? He asked after a while of thought. Before Kurama could ask why the name, Naruto went on to explain. 13 aspects. Clones with different aspects. Each clone will focus on one of each specialty that comes with being a shinobi. Tan, Kaiten, Doten, Suiten, Raiten, Taijutsu, Kenjutsu, Trapping, Medical, Espionage and Assassination, Interrogation and Torture, Scouting and Censoring. Kyubi did a quick count. That's 12. It sounded viable, but if Kurama had to be honest with himself, he had to wonder why Naruto didn't mention Kenjutsu. It was either because it went without saying, or Naruto simply didn't want to pursue it. He himself had an idea as to why the kid was like that, and his assumption was that Naruto might have believed that it helped ruin his life, Kenjutsu being used by the man who wanted to kill him, Kenjutsu being used to turn him into a Jinchuriki. Nah, he knew that Naruto didn't hate him. But he did hate everything that came with that effect. And I made lucky number 13. Lucky? You know what I mean. Kyubi grinned. This shows that the group is unique. Tenacious means firm and strong, not easily stopped, and 13 is the number of the members, and it's dark and foreboding. I like it. Looks like you have an ambition. So what, they're gonna train, or are they supposed to help you kill Ito when you're good and ready? They're gonna help me train, Naruto replied. He got to work, now having a goal to work towards. And when I'm strong enough, I'm gonna put Ito in the fucking ground. Fair, fair. Let's get started. We'll have the elemental clones practice your affinity. They might even need to go away to the elemental nations, learning in practice to bring up their affinities. The first thing to do is to create a clone that's durable enough to sustain itself, or at least not disperse when someone hits it. I got a couple of ideas. Since there's obviously a link thing going on between you, me and the clones, maybe they can either pull on my chakra after being made, or you can try to make them while using the tailless state. It was a simple experiment, but was an overall disappointing failure. The clones could try to access Kurama's chakra wirelessly as he put it, but while there was a switch being flicked, there simply wasn't any power to access. On the second aspect of the experiment, Naruto would create his clones while in the feral state, but they were still easily destroyed in one hit. He didn't even have long to put this through trial, as there was always the risk of alarming the whole village that the Kyubi's chakra was being used. There is still another alternative. You gotta allow me to take over and create a shadow clone with your chakra with my unadulterated chakra as its core. No, don't interrupt me, Brad. I know that it'd scare the shit out of everyone in the entire fucking village. We just have to leave the village first and do it at first convenience when alone. Naruto grumbled heatedly in disappointment. Alright, fine. I guess we'll just move on to improve our general training then. I have it all planned out. The taijutsu I use. Which I inspired you to create by being passive-aggressive. Yeah, you egotistical prick. It relies mainly on dodging, countering and parrying with the Tenten, but I'm gonna need one that revolves around me going on the offensive. All I really need is an attacking stance and then extend that into new katas for later. I'll try to design it later. Perhaps it will come to me then. But now, I need knowledge. Whoa. You bashed the academy for all these years, and now you want to get in on all of that useless book learning. I didn't know how to create cage bunchins back then. He defended hastily while he created 2 clones with excessive chakra. Without even considering the consequences, he told them to read everything, all the while trying to ignore their pitiful faces and not wanting to get saddled with the duty. Just go, goddammit. After they left, his inner demon suggested that he create another clone to go to the hospital to learn some medical techniques, and Naruto wholeheartedly agreed. As much as I can't believe it, I read that medic nin are sometimes a lot more important than even the elite nin or those on the shinobi council. In times of war, battles were won because of how competent the medics of different platoons were. This one is going to need a lot of work. It's also the reason I chose it over Jinjutsu. Even if I am susceptible to extreme forms of Jinjutsu, I should be able to release myself from it if my clones channel chakra into my network using their chakra, or killing the caster. Anyway, I can create this clone now to get the basic knowledge now, and create a more permanent one later. I assume that clones in the library will read basic medical books and remedies, but I need something higher up the ladder. Cage Bunshin know he created the cross-shaped tram seal, and created a clone. Go to the hospital and insist on looking in the operating theater. Ask while in a henge as a Chunin ninja. Also, try to see if you could get to read any medical books they have. If they ask why, tell them you want to become a medical ninja, he ordered. Curry favors them, bribes them, kisses their asses if you have to. The clone nodded. You got it, boss. He yelled before using a body flicker to leave. Okay, that's done. Next, we have interrogation and torture. Naruto seethed a little, remembering his past. For once, all those mob beatings in the past are going to come in handy. I wouldn't be squeamish when it comes to inflicting pain or using mind games on opponents. He gritted his teeth as he recalled how the villagers had expressed their intense dislike and hatred of him, both verbally and physically. I can go over to the Department of Torture and Interrogations now. After all, I know where it is, and I've got nothing better to do. Scouting and censoring, I'll think of something later. Kurama, I'm going to make this team and I'm going to follow through with it. Even when I get placed on a genin team, at least I'll have a better one watching my own back, even if it's a team composed entirely of physical manifestations of myself. Naruto smirked. Sounds a bit pathetic, relying solely on myself like that, but I will be the best. Whoever said there was no I in the team? Kurama grinned like a feral beast inside his cage. At the library, Shinichi replaced a couple of stray books back onto the shelves. There used to be a whole lot more books left out, back when people only amused themselves with reading. But now people have this television and all that technological shit. They had simply no time for reading. What he would give for this whole damn library to burn down so he could let his 70-something-year-old body retire in peace, especially since there wasn't much to be done anyway. He returned to the desk located at the entrance, and was about to lay on the footing he had hidden behind it, when he heard the door push in, no doubt to let in someone. He groaned. Just when I'm about to take a nap, someone just had to come in. He peered over the desk and saw two rather familiar-looking people waiting to sign the check-in book. Huh? Minato? He queried, a bit unsure. His sight was a bit fleeting. He momentarily thought he was seeing doubles. Even more reason to retire. No? They said in unison, as if rehearsed. My name is Naruto. Naruto, huh? Name sounds kinda familiar. Could be my eyes going, but am I seeing two of you? The clones looked at each other almost in a staring contest of sorts. To the old man, they looked as if they were sharing an unspoken conversation. Which they in fact were. Tell him the truth. No? We should lie. And say what? Identical brothers. Wouldn't work. Let's just go with the truth, tell him we're clones. If he kicks us out, we'll just come back in different henges and work with that. After all, he couldn't even recognize us as clones. He wouldn't recognize us as two different people, anyway. The other one nodded in approval. Okay. Let's just roll with it. We're clones. One of them said. Clones? One of the man's eyebrows rose, no doubt doing some thinking. Sounds like something I've heard of before. Then something in his mind clicked. Minato? Is it you, sending your clones to read for you again? The man asked, a bit testily. Is he talking about the fourth? No. Sorry old man, he passed on around 13 years ago. Sorry. One of the clones replied, hoping the two weren't too close. He did not want to see an old man in tears, receiving knowledge more than a decade later. No, it's alright. So, someone sent you to read for them, huh? Are you going to stay overnight? The man asked, as if expecting to hear yes. Hi. Minato did this with me, you know. I'll let you stay in the library for as long as you exist, weeks, if needs be. And all I ask in return is that you help out when I'm unable to. Sounds fair. The old man asked, pleadingly. I don't have an apprentice or assistants to help. Sure, one of them interrupted hastily, eager to please. Whatever it took to stay longer, he believed. We accept. At the hospital. Query sighed and fell into her chair at her station in the nurse's office, desperate to have a minute to herself. Her shifts as a fresh nurse at the hospital were the very definition of murder. If she didn't carry more money home at the end of the month, she was going to go home and stay there. Sure, she liked to help people, but right now, nothing was going right. As if it was the devil's way of adding an extra straw to break her back, the air conditioning unit sputtered and suddenly died. She went over to it and fiddled with its dials, but nothing worked. She banged it, pleaded with it, threatened it, but nothing worked. She swore under her breath, just barely audible to keep the head nurse from hearing her profanity. After a while, she gave up and went downstairs. If she couldn't get comfortable indoors, she would simply try sitting out in the small garden at the back, she mused. One's as good as the other. She opened the hospital's front entrance and bumped into a young man who had appeared to have chosen that same moment to enter the hospital as well, and he was so strong that she was knocked onto her backside. Okami, why me? She was exasperated. Today must have been an off day for her. Oh? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Sumimasen, he apologized profusely, hoping that he didn't hurt her. No? It's alright, she lied. She hoped he wasn't an important figure, because she did not need any more bullshit to put up with. They both picked themselves up and observed each other for a moment. A chunin. He was nondescript, nothing special going on for him. 5'9", spiky brown hair that framed a round face with a pointed chin. A nurse. She was dressed in the usual nurse's garb. She had straight black hair that fell to her shoulders with lovely teal eyes. The woman currently had her arms folded, which pronounced her already impressive bosom. All in all, even though being a civilian born and in medical nurse's clothes, she was an attractive woman. Naruto's clone had made a mental effort to keep himself from blushing. Excuse me, I am hoping this isn't a bad time, but I would like to know where to go, so I can learn some medical techniques. I would. Sorry, can't help you. I'm not really up there on the medical staff ladder, and besides, no one even has the time to scratch their own heads, let alone teach someone. I don't think any of us can help you. The young chunin was crestfallen but brightened a little after some thinking. Maybe you could put in a good word for me to someone who could help me then. Or I could assist you in something or other so you could have some time to help me. I really don't want to become cannon fodder, he said pathetically, hoping to excite her sympathy. She, at the very least, did look like she was considering his offer. I could use his help. Tell you what, if you can fix an AC unit upstairs, I'll make some time for you, she replied in a careless tone. Perhaps some conditioned air would stop her from being all bothered. Just to fix it. Fair? Alright, get me the manual and I'll fix it. By the way, what's your name? Curry. And yours? He gave it some thought. Naruto. That's a weird name, but if your mom liked it, then who am I to judge? Follow me, Naruto-san. Time skip. The stoic Haku had settled himself behind his desk to continue his paperwork concerning the clan. His daughter had finally left him to go train with her sister. So she broke it down. I never once thought that her feelings for the young Uzumaki would even break her shy personality, even if it was only for an isolated incident. She broke his door in her concern for him. Perhaps she is enamored with him. Regardless, all we may owe him is the replacement of the door. Nothing else. Hiashi began sorting through his documents. The in and out boxes were rather messy. Soon, they were neatly organized, and all the paperwork approved were stamped and signed, while the others went into the wastebasket. He was rather quick and efficient, and he rather enjoyed doing it. But soon after he had no more to continue, and he was left with nothing to do. He went into deep thought about his elder daughter, and how she was going to be placed on a newly christened genin team come Monday morning. Just as he was about to brainstorm who her potential teammates could be, a knock came at his door. Who could that be? Hiashi activated his Byakugan to see through the door. Why is there an Anbu up here? He mused. He's probably an errand from the Hokage. But what? Deciding to find out the answers, he invited the military shinobi inside. The Anbu entered into the room with grace and wariness, not one movement wasted as he was nothing but a clock. He stood, somewhat at attention, in front of the Haku clan head. Close at his heels was Ascension Branch Haku, no doubt an escort. How may I help you? Anbu answered in a level tone. Lord Hokage wished for you to receive this letter. He retrieved a note seemingly nowhere and handed it to him before using a body flicker to leave. The branch member took his leave as well, now that his job was complete, leaving the clan head to have some privacy. Only then did the man open his letter. The document could hardly be called a note, let alone a letter. The whole message was written as if it nothing but a little ditty. The man from back then has come back again. Make sure to be on time at 9 tonight. He hopes there will be no fuss over what we shall discuss. Solo is the way to go. Hiashi closed his eyes. No doubt that the Hokage was an avid reader of poetry, and decided to code the letter like that of one. The message was clear to him though, although that could be to the cause that the message involved him directly. It probably means that the man that rescued Hinata has returned and wishes to speak to Sandame and myself about the favors we did for him. Noble and selfless they may be, they feel suspicious, considering that he said he doesn't pledge loyalty to Konoha. He never did cotton to the man. Despite hiding his face, Hiashi always felt like he was talking to someone different each time, despite the fact that he always felt familiar, and that not that he would ever admit it scared him. The Haku sat patiently, waiting for their guests to arrive. He looked to the Sandame Hokage who was currently seated by his large desk that tied into his title. Both men were yet to speak to each other, and that served to make things more awkward between them. Frankly, Hiashi preparing to leave the second 9:01 p.m. struck on the clock. He was an important official, as well as Sarutobi himself. They had no time to waste, especially with someone whose identity was yet to be discovered. Besides, he wanted every excuse possible to avoid meeting the man they were waiting for. Suddenly, the clock hit 9 p.m., and in that same second a man appeared in the center of the room via body flicker. He was dressed as before, not a single hair out of place. However, there was a markedly obvious lack of seals on his person, unlike the first time they encountered him all those years ago. "Good evening, Hokage-sama, Lord Yashi. I hope I've not been tardy," he remarked flatly. "Welcome. May we have your name, or at least a handle we can use? It would make things flow more smoothly," Hiruzen requested. "I can give you a handle. Call me Seijin." "Seijin?" Hiashi asked, weird name to choose. The hooded man said nothing in response. Anxious to clear the air of the growing tension, Hiruzen cleared his throat. "Seijin-san, we're here to discuss the results of your requests roughly 2.5 years ago." Sarutobi continued. "That's why you're here, is it not?" "Ah, yes. So, how's the soup kitchen getting along?" "Oh, and make it brief. I'm sure we have other places we'd rather be right now," Seijin replied, much to the Haika's ire. "It's doing well, if I may say so myself. As for financing, the Haika clan has given quite a bit of funding since its opening. I believe that many of the people who frequented are the people who suffered during the Nine Tails attack. Some of them are even willing to injure themselves to sleep there in a warm bed that the side house provides." His hand lifted and disappeared to stroke his hidden chin in thought. "Is it possible for the Haika to fund a little more for expanding just a bit more? I am sure that Lord Hiashi can dig just a little deeper. Maybe about 50 futons next to and around each other would do the job efficiently. The futons could simply be put away in the day," Seijin suggested. "This is going a bit too far, Seijin-san. We Haika don't have an unlimited amount of money in our treasury. If we have much more of this so-called chura funding," Hiashi said in disgust, "we'd have to forfeit our emergency fund which was set aside for our own survival or anything that warrants an emergency of similar dire straits." It was times and foolishness like this that made the man more emotional than not. "Do you think we have bottomless pockets?" "No," the guest said testily as if he was preparing for a fight with the man, "you're right. Perhaps if you were to look out the window and activate yours, you would see that there are people who are far needier than you are. You seem to have on expensive new robes. Perchance if you went hungry for a few days you would realize how superfluous that your extravagant worldly possessions are. These people have no clothes, no food, no warm beds. We see them every day, and yet we try to ignore their situation. So you are hesitant. Perhaps if you were to have lost more than just your first heiress Lady Hinata, you would have been giving a lot more in gratitude. I suppose it can't be helped." Hiashi seemed regretful all of a sudden. He didn't mean to say what the man was interpreting. "Are you implying that I don't care for my own village or its denizens? I do, but you're not even a resident, and if you care that much for the leaf, I don't see you rearing up to lift a hand to help it yourself." "Fair accusation. I'll release you from any debt you owe me, since you feel that you've done enough. I will give you a new proposition. I will do the Haika clan one service a mission if you will, into any situation, no matter how underhanded, futile or suicidal it may be, but only if you're willing to invest more into what should have been your civil duty," Seijin spat. "Do we have an agreement? How can I be sure you will get the job done if I go through with this?" The clan head was skeptical, not missing the man's disgust. "As much as I dislike boasting, I am very confident in my skills, and you know that I've faced off against the ambassador from Kumo and your Anbu without an ounce of effort. Then there's my durability, chakra capacity and something else. I cannot reveal anymore. You get the idea. I am still doubtful. You should still be ashamed, having to be bought to help the less fortunate. I merely used the incident all those years ago to help both of you to have some humanitarian ideals. If not for the benefit of all, then even for the benefit for one person isn't that enough? And yet you refuse my offer." His rebuke was stinging. "I suppose that's true," Hiashi admitted to himself. He'd never really taken the riffraff of the village into regard before. It was also pleasing to see Hitomi happy with his charitable actions, be it willing or not. Even more so, she had been taking her own action, and what was worse was that if it should be that he didn't accept Seijin's offer now, she'd drain his private accounts to continue. Besides, not all of his own likely future dirty work had to risk a Haika. "I accept, Seijin-san. Hope you don't regret it." In response, the enigmatic man reached into his coat and retrieved a sheet of paper with a seal on it. "This is a summoning seal. Simply lay it on the ground and focus your chakra into it. I will appear in a matter of seconds." He then gave it to the emotionless Haika, who put it away carefully. The Hokage looked on at the development with an approving nod. "So you're familiar with Kenjutsu? I like to dabble in everything. Moving on. What of the orphanage?" "The orphanage, it's doing well at the moment. It has roughly 50 children at present. It doesn't seem to be growing. That's actually a good thing. Having fewer orphans, that is. It was usually higher," Seijin stated, sounding relieved, showing true emotion in his tone for the first time. "I remember that its conception attracted all of its present occupants within only a few days. The Sarutobi clan has made it per your instructions, and it has helped to keep such children off the streets." The Hokage smiled. "I have visited the children myself, but I have not told them that it was you who wanted it built. If I told them you were, and that you were here, Perhaps another time, one with more convenience and less risks, Sijin interrupted. But the orphanage is starting to dilapidate it a little. It's nothing my clan cannot assist with, of course. It would serve me well to continue funding the orphanage, nothing's wrong. But your concern for the orphans had demonstrated how little my concern had been for the village's future generation was. So you have concern for them now? Sijin asked in a weird tone, one that suggested that he knew and believed differently. All of them. You haven't neglected any. Sijin gave him one of the seals as well. I'm sure that you will most certainly use that in the near future, knowing the extensive variety of missions all ninja take. I think you should have one. Just think so. The Hokage took it from him carefully and mused over it. Perhaps I'll get Jiraiya to look it over. Just think so, he thought ironically. It was for the fact that the man reminded him a lot of Ito, although he was reputedly wandering around the border of Suna right now. Ito was something of a Kenjutsu expert, and if this was his, then he was basically leaving his identification card behind. If not, then he just happened to land a strong ninja in his back pocket. Win-win either way. Sijin made a show of stretching. Well, I'll be making my leave. Hiyashi-sama. Hi. The man answered. Don't waste it. And so the final word was said. Sijin left in a vermilion red body flicker and made sure to leave no trail. Time skip. So yeah. You did me a solid, Kurama. 100 favors. How do you like the scenery there now? Kurama sat down in the new mindscape. The general outlook had changed from bleary to cheery. Instead, the leaking pipes that had intercrossed a dark flooded sewer had been substituted for a grassy plain with a rather large tree in the middle that was big enough to shelter under, even if there were two of him. There was enough light, but it carried no heat. Very comfortable. I like it. I like it, especially knowing that I earned it by doing those favors for 6 years. I know that it's Ito's rule and motto, but we both know that it's the truth. Nothing comes for free. So thanks a lot. Though the fox was markedly happier, Naruto still couldn't help but feel a little disgruntled. There were times I felt like you cheated me to get to 100 quicker. I'm a kitsune, deal with it. I didn't want to put up with that shithole of a mindscape a day longer than I had to. Naruto rolled his eyes mentally. Whatever. Naruto walked into his classroom and took his seat quietly. Just as he got comfortable, he heard a shout as certain boy couldn't leave damn well enough alone. Boy. Dead last. This class today is only for those who passed. Kiba shouted, his high volume catching the attention of the whole class. And who the hell died to get you that hit I ate? Naruto ignored the insult, but Shino was the only one who noticed that Iruka flinched when Kiba made his last boisterous statement. He would have to find out why later. He could recall the conversation he'd overheard between the blonde and Shikamaru on Friday. Naruto himself had sounded so sure that he was going to fail, and Shino had learned that he had in fact failed. But now, here he was, forehead protector and all. Sasuke took a note of Naruto, seeing him for the first time without his goggles. Sentimental value, my ass. He must have been hiding his forehead. If he loved his goggles so much, he would have just worn his 8 somewhere else. In the meantime, whilst everyone else what to say. Can't tell them about what happened to Mizuki. What's the closest thing to the truth? Naruto passed because he was able to create clones after all. That's why he's here. Iruka lied smoothly, hoping they would buy it. Naruto shared a look with his teacher. The Abiram didn't miss that either, and he frowned behind his shades. Anyway, you are all registered genin. So be quiet and act like it. I'll read out team placements in a minute. Yumino went on, glancing at Naruto. He still seemed indifferent. Where did I go wrong? He waited for the class to hush themselves before taking out the folder with the team information out of his desk and began to read. Naruto listened to the team placements for 1 through to 6. It was just as he had predicted. All the civilian scores had really rounded off themselves, so they would all be placed on balanced teams. Damn. He loved being a smartass, and Kurama caught the thought and added in his 2 cents. Tell me about it. And that's team 6. Your sensei is Iruka droned. Okay, Kurama. Let's see if I'm right about the rookie placements. Sakura Horino, Kiba Inuzuka and Sasuke Uchiha will form team 7. Your Jinin sensei is Kakashi Haddock. What the hell, Iruka sensei? How am I on the faggot and fangirls team? Can't I get to be on some other team? Kiba complained loudly. Sakura mumbled something about Inu idiots under her breath, and it wasn't too good either. The last Uchiha was perhaps the most displeased of all. If anything, he would have wanted Naruto on his team, simply because he was showing himself more competent of late. Kiba, the teams were created by an average score. We create the teams based on average. Sakura and Sasuke had the best scores, while yours was abysmal at best. If anything, they're picking up your slack. Frankly, if we didn't have either of the 2 rookies of the year, then Yao would have failed the program. Now be quiet. Iruka humiliated Inuzuka while the class laughed at him. Kiba sat down again in disappointment while Naruto smirked, glad that Inuzuka was getting some comeuppance, though it was his own prodding that had led up to this. Maybe he'll make it up to the guy later or something. Next squad will be composed of Shino Abiram, Hinata Haku. Time for the moment of truth, Kurama. Quite. I want to hear what he's saying. And Naruto Uzumaki. Your Jinin-sensei is Kuranaiki. You will compose teammate. Well. Someone was right on the money. It seems to me that you do have a good head on your shoulders after all. Naruto sighed happily. He had hoped that Hinata would have ended up on his team, since he had decided last week that she was fine in his books. Was there any doubt? My friend, the doubt itself was bigger than my actual size. Team 9 is still in circulation. Team 10 is Shikamaru Nar, Shinjai Akimichi and Ino Yamanaka. Your Jinin-sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. Kitsune was surprised that Naruto was correct in his predictions. His analytical skills were impressive. You'll all wait for your Jinin-senseis in room 4, Iruka continued. They will arrive just after lunch hour. You're all dismissed, and you have my blessings. He smiled at them all sadly, thinking about how his children were growing up. And good luck being the shinobis of the next generation. Time skip. Has anyone ever heard of her before? Naruto put the question out to his teammates. Shino pushed up his glasses before responding. I believe that's what she called the upcoming Genjutsu mistress of Konoha, he said simply. I know nothing else. Hi. She is a good friend of my Keikasen. Hinata stuttered a bit. Naruto's thoughts were already racing. Genjutsu you say, huh? At least I won't be susceptible to it anytime soon. You got my back with that, right Kurama? No? If I keep helping you, you won't really grow. Why start refusing help now? Naruto was confused. 1. Because it's the right thing to do. And? I don't have to suck up to you anymore by doing favors. The first reason was enough. Naruto muttered. Excuse me. The Abiram lifted an eyebrow. Naruto caught himself quickly, realizing that he'd spoken out loud. Both reasons are enough. That's what I said. Shino was skeptical but didn't push it too much. As in, she is a Genjutsu user and must be really skilled in it if she's dubbed as its mistress. That means that she will fight dominantly with it instead of other techniques. I see. Go on. And, Naruto pointed at Hinata who blushed a little. If she is on such good terms with your family, maybe you know who could tell us what kind of history this lady's got. I've been told from my Keika-chan that she was very good friends with Kurenai's father when they were on the same team, but he died in the Kyuubi's attack. She also has an intense dislike for perverts. Hinata said. Aha. Interesting. Anything else? He tapped his chin with a forefinger. No, and Naruto-kun. This woman might probably hate me, she's gotta be in on the secret that you're sealed inside of me, Kurama. Naruto was already leery of his Chunin teacher, and couldn't shake the possibility that this team was already wrecked before he got a chance to create his own shinobi team once he left the village on mission. Maybe it would improve relations with our future sensei if I told her that you're apologetic for your actions. I was being manipulated by that Uchiha. It's not my fault. And besides, Ito could have done something to help the situation, but only made things worse. He killed the only 2 people who could stop me, your parents. Wouldn't hurt. Wouldn't really help either. What's done is done. As soon as he said this, the bell rang to signal the end of lunchtime, and everyone filed inside to room 4. Well there, everyone waited for their own senses in their own way. Some napped, some muttered to their ninja creatures, and yet some others just sat and imagined what their future instructors would be like. Soon, there were only 3 teams left who were still waiting when the door was pushed in by 2 people. The female of the 2 had a fair complexion, and she had very distinct red eyes, which were complemented by purple eyeshadow and red lipstick. She possessed long black hair that reached her upper back. She had on mesh armor that was easily visible through her clothing, and only one sleeve that went in tandem with bandages that wrapped from her upper torso to her knees. The man was fairly tall with a somewhat brown complexion with brown eyes, short spiky black hair and a beard. His standard Chunin jacket had bandages around the sleeves and around his waist. He had on a sash with the kanji for fire on it. Teammate? The woman asked. She threw a harsh look at the Uzumaki that everyone noticed. Naruto's eyes whitened in recognition, and a loud and silent no was on his lips. It was grim. My name is Kuranaiki. I will be your Chunin-sensei. Meet me in the... Fuck no. Someone exclaimed, slamming his hands on the desk and stood. Everyone turned to take notice of the yeller, none other than Naruto himself. I want no part of this team if it means having to put up with hurting my sensei. Kurenai was silent. She didn't seem at all surprised to hear this outburst, and this troubled Hinata. She was also surprised to see Naruto behave in such a manner. He was cheeky at times, but never an outright rebel. Naruto-san, what is wrong? Shino asked. Nothing is wrong. Naruto said through clenched teeth. Everything is peachy and perfect. Just perfect. Alright brat, what's your damage? Why don't you want her for your sensei? You think we have to let you be a genin? The man said. Don't have to tell them about our own tests yet. Actually, yes. You do have to let me be a genin. After all, if Kuma were to attack Konoha with a couple of Jinchurikis, Naruto trailed off. He knew about the S-rank secret. The genin got the message. Their expressions grew cold. The students didn't understand a thing that was going on. Assume it. Let's not waste time with him. Just let him be. Kurenai enjoined the now-named Asuma. What? The man was baffled. Just ignore him. Yeah. That's right. Naruto exclaimed, just keep doing what you did Thursday. Can someone tell me what the hell is going on? Kiba was completely confused and befuddled and couldn't take any more subtext. From what I can gather, Naruto is upset with Kurenai-sensei due to some incident on Thursday. Shino sounded unsure at first in his explanation, but kept on. Judging from what was said, Naruto must be loath to the circumstance that she may have ignored him on some matter of importance. Hit the nail right on the head, Shino. Naruto said as he sat back down in a huff, still glaring at the red-eyed woman. Kurenai breathed slowly, trying to relax herself. Her first encounter with the nine-tailed Shinchuriki didn't go well because she had blown him off when he asked for Bunshin ninjutsu help. Admittedly, she probably would have helped him if the creature that resided in him hadn't killed Shinkuiki, her own father. What's worse, she didn't even want him on her team, but his scores had perfectly rounded off the other students' scores, ending up being second to last in his class, despite reports of him being the strongest genin of his generation straight from the Hokage's mouth. Just a bit earlier, she had tried to explain to the Hokage about the fact that there would be friction between herself and the boy, but he still ordered her regardless. Look at Naruto. Even if you don't want Kurenai as your sensei, the Sarutobi began. You stay out of this. You did the same thing too. Every one of you people are all the same. Will of fire. Ha. Naruto spat. Suddenly, disappearing and reappearing, the offended Nin was in front of Naruto and lifted him by his shirt collar. You will show respect to your superiors, brat. Now either go with Kurenai, he looked to the woman by the door, or sit out another year in the academy, Asuma averred unnervingly, leaking just enough killing intent to frighten Annie and all genin present. He wasn't about to take any bullshit from a fresh genin, Jinchuriki or not, just because he felt beast against. Naruto wasn't fazed. He merely looked over to Kiba, as if deliberately ignoring the man lifting him up bodily. Hey Kiba. Looks like you can leave Team 7 and join Team 8. Seems more your type anyway. All around there were now whisperings of the development, of how Naruto was willing to sit out a third tenure in the academy. But even so, he continued. In a class of 20 being split into 9 teams, subtracting myself from that equation will upset that balance. That means 2 of us are going to have to sit out another year with him, Shikamaru finished, having brought himself to be concerned enough about the situation. It's either that or he passes with us. A team has to start with 3 genin. How troublesome this is. Shikamaru said aloud, shocking the rest of the group present. Why is Naruto-kun so bitter? Hinata thought. Just when she was going to ask him why, Naruto batted Asuma's hand from off of him, and stormed out of the room while giving Kurenai a wide berth, shooting her an angry look as he left. Well, Kurama. Guess you're right. Forgive and forget really is impossible for me. Told you. Naruto mumbled heatedly under his breath as he subconsciously started moving the swing he was seated on. How was he supposed to forget all the wrongs done to him when he could remember everything vividly as if it had happened only a minute before? Anyone who preached love and forgiveness must have never had a memory like his. Why was everything so goddamn complicated? Kiba came out of the school with his Akamaru by his side, and Naruto took notice of them immediately. The dog had his nose close to the ground, apparently tracking a scent. Naruto watched them as Kiba apparently spotted him before his dog, and told him. With that done, he patted his dog and allowed him to jump onto his head, before the two came over, whereupon Kiba then took a seat on a tree root beside the whiskered boy. They sat there in silence for 3 minutes before Kiba tried to break it. So what was that all about, Naruto? Kiba asked. What was what? Naruto feigned ignorance. He knew what he meant. He was merely trying to delay the conversation, least of all with Kiba of all people. That shit you just pulled in there. It's just one big awful mess in there. People are in there arguing who sits out another year with you. What the fuck's that all about? Kiba yelled. Naruto groaned inwardly. There was just no going around this. Fine, I'll talk. Just keep your damn voice down. The Inizuka still felt put off by the new Naruto. Nonetheless, he would go along. He still wanted some answers. Okay, he said quietly. You remember the test on Friday? I failed the exam because I couldn't create 3 bunchins. Naruto started. Yeah, who could forget that? You're the only one who failed that. Kiba chuckled. Naruto wasn't amused. You're the only one to fail the written exam, Naruto remarked, much to Kiba's chagrin. I just didn't get a chance to study, that's all, he answered lamely. I was polishing my taijutsu. Still passed overall, though. The kitsune inside the seal who was listening in on the conversation was impressed. His container's ability to read people was scary good. Naruto smirked inwardly. Yeah. Anyway, I knew I was probably going to fail that part of the ninjutsu exam, so I went around asking for help the day before. I asked a lot of ninjas, including those 2 ninjas, but they all refused. Ha. I get it. Even if you somehow managed to learn that overnight, you're just pissed because that woman who was supposed to be your sensei now didn't even give you the time of day before. Kiba could relate somewhat. No one really helped him with his training until he was named clan heir, when his sister didn't want the training or responsibilities. Yeah. Naruto appreciated the fact that Kiba wasn't thick all the time. Alright. Naruto sighed. No one helped me. I had to learn the technique on my own, and to tell the truth, it's a little better than the one they taught us in the academy. If you don't know how I got to learn it, then you're probably not meant to know. It's a bit of a secret, Naruto said quietly. He quickly made a clone and told Kiba to take a punch from it. The ignorant Inizuka complied, thinking that it would pass by him. Fortunately, the clone decided to just thump the boy on the shoulder, instead of causing real damage. Kuzo. That's impressive. Can I learn it? No. I just have a lot of chakra that allows me to create these clones. You probably won't be able to create them until you're about, say, 15 years old. Kiba was about to argue, but stopped to consider the chakra reason. It was true that the clone required a small amount of chakra, and people who couldn't create them were often people with too much chakra, his mother had explained once. If that was Naruto's reason, since it concurred with his mother's explanation, then the guy wasn't lying. But still. Maybe you could just forgive and forget even this time, huh? Naruto growled when he heard that, thinking that the phrase was getting to be both ironic as well as recurring. I don't think it's fair to hold a grudge against a teacher to the point of making two of us sit it out with you for another year. Damn it. Even Hinata's looking like she's about to start crying in there thinking she won't progress, you know. Other people have to put up with your shit too. It's not fair. Not fair? Not fair. Where the hell were the shopkeepers when I needed food? Where the hell's the orphanage when I needed someone to care? Where the fuck is help when I'm about to get murdered? You need to get your facts straight before you come talk to me about what is or isn't fair. Naruto blew his stack but was coming down from his emotional high. For all I know, Yug'll be the one who's worried about his position, given the fact that you're ready at last in the class right now. Damn, Naruto. People tell me I'm a prick, but you're acting even worse. I don't know what the hell your problem is, but don't take it out on me. Kiba stood up and dusted the seat of his pants and left without so much as a backwards glance. You know, he's right about that, Kurama suddenly said. What? I mean let it go, or at least pretend to. Everyone is really getting wary of you now. You could lose your age if the Hokage thinks you're unstable because of your anger. Then what about the Uchiha? Naruto asked, upset now. I've never seen him lose his temper, but you did, you lost it there. And you are known to have a certain nine-tailed fox jailed in you. It wouldn't look good for you to get angry. I mean if the Hokage was here watching that little spat between you and Kiba, he'd start thinking that the seal was breaking or something. He would think that, not necessarily act on a hunch. He is dubbed as the professor, you know. He'd want to get his facts straight first. Well, at least join the team. You're depriving your teammates of a chance to further their careers, the fox argued. I'm postponing their deaths. You're starting to sound really selfish. Me? Selfish? Am I being judged by a bitch who nearly leveled the whole village? Naruto grumbled. Be that as it may, just join the team. You can quit it at any time. Yeah, I won't quit. That's not my thing. Fine. You can leave the team or threaten to leave the ninja program. After all, to lose their own Jinchuriki would make them lose an edge in heavy conflict, and they could straighten the dicky woman if she doesn't live up to your expectations. Maybe it's not as if people like you enough to do something like this for your sake, but it's something that is worth thinking about. Naruto did stop to think about that suggestion. It sounded reasonable. If worst came to worst, they would simply replace the sensei or put him on another team. He knew that life in the village didn't stop just because he failed his exam, but there had to be some important people who would stop to consider his situation, right? Alright. But let me see what's happening first. I'll send a clone. Just go as yourself. But, go? Kurama roared. Reluctantly, Naruto went back inside the school and made his way back to class. He knew that they couldn't try to harm him. If they did, they'd find out just how much strength he really had. He pushed open the door to see Kurenai sitting beside Hinata, who was looking rather disheveled alongside Shino. Team 7 seated themselves on the far side of the room, but Team 10 and that supposed Asuma man was gone. Maybe Hinata was really crying. Not tears, just agitated. But the damn woman shares a close bond with Hinata through her mother. The Uzumaki took his seat warily beside his team and waited for someone to speak. And sure enough, Kurenai did. Naruto, she began. I apologize. I'm sorry. Sorry for blowing me off. Or sorry that you won't get to have Hinata-chan on your team. The boy shot back with a glare. Kurenai stopped. There was a troubling thought. But she wouldn't lie, regardless of the consequences. If he could figure out why she was sorry, then chances are that he could catch her in a lie. For Hinata. Thought so. Nonetheless, I've been convinced by someone to suffer being on a team with you as my sensei, so as to not deprive my teammates of a genin squad. Kiba, who had been listening, lifted his hand triumphantly. Not you, Kiba, said Naruto, noticing but not even looking at the Inizuka. Someone else. Who is this person? Shino asked. I'm not at liberty to say. Shall we go to Kurenai-sensei? Naruto could barely say the last part, an obvious sign to everyone that he was extremely unwilling. Kurenai observed him for a bit longer. She was told that he was a happy-go-lucky, perhaps the Mizuki incident had changed him more than everyone had originally thought. She stood up and beckoned for them to follow her. Perhaps if they got to know each other they would have a smoother relationship. Not that she wanted to have one. It was just the Hokage's orders. Time skip. So tell me about yourselves. Name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, dreams. Shino, why don't you start first? They were all seated on a convenient log in front of their sensei that chose to stand. At present, they were going through some mini introductions that were supposed to improve team synergy. My name is Shino Abiram. I like to spend time organizing and cataloging insects I come across. I dislike those who misjudge myself and my clan. My likes and hobbies are the same. My dream is to become a good clan head. Naruto gave Shino a friendly fist bump on Abiram's shoulder and grinned widely. You don't like people who misjudge you? I think we're gonna get along just fine. I won't judge you if you don't judge me. Deal. What? Why would he be judged? This must be tied to the conversation I had my insects eavesdrop on when he was speaking to Kiba. Very well, Naruto-san. Alright. Hinata, why don't you go next? Kurenai suggested. Hi. My name is Hinata Haku. I like being with my parents and I like cinnamon buns. My dislikes are those who think my kindness is weakness, and I don't like my family's segregation with the seal. My hobbies is flower pressing. My dream is to. She looked at Naruto and blushed deeply. I am not sure what I want to do, but there are things that I want to do. Sorry if that sounds strange. Naruto blinked and shrugged. Inside the seal, the monstrous kitsune sighed. Even with his spiked intelligence, Naruto was still a complete dunce. Perhaps he would learn something about love when the library clones finally dispelled. Who knows how long that would take. Since it's my turn, I'll just start. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like to train well, pretty much anything that involves me getting stronger, and I'm not too shy about learning either, especially after my wake-up call last week. My dislikes are those who judge me, including BS teachers due to my status. He stared at the teacher pointedly, but she ignored him. My hobbies and likes are the same. My ambition. I guess I'm like Hinata-chan. I don't really have any dreams or ambitions, but I am looking for someone, and not for good reasons. That's all. Alright. Kurenai clapped her hands, trying to dismiss the vague note that the Uzumaki had left in the air. The three of you have one final test. The original plan was to have the three of you attack me using teamwork by attempting to take these bells. She took 2 bells from her weapons pouch. But all 3 of you know due to the earlier incident in room 4, that a team has to have 3 students under a teacher. So instead, I want all 3 of you to fight me with the intent to kill, only so that I can get to see your current level of progress. I'll call the session quits if I've seen enough. The red-eyed woman looked to her students, seeing them all stand up to ready themselves in some fashion. Shino whispered to his insects, and Hinata activated her Byakugan, while Naruto performed the ram seal to call forth his chakra. Judging by his intensity, she could tell that the boy was going to start using left, right and center. Begin. Shino and Hinata jumped into the trees to hide, while Naruto sat back on the log. Ikki glared at the boy whom she believed was lackadaisical. Well. Oh? The test stops when you say you've seen enough. I can already beat a Chunin, that much is obvious, even if it was just a passing chance. If you really want me to fight seriously, I could probably level this whole training ground and might even kill you. His face brightened a little at the thought, and the expression only served to upset the woman. Probably won't, though. Kurenai scoffed. You level this whole training ground. She doubted it. Even if he beat Mizuki, the Chunin's skills were slightly dulled. Notwithstanding this, Naruto had only just made genin. As for what she knew about him, it was that he knew that he was now a ninja, and that he knew his status. Perhaps he could have learned something dangerous from the Scroll of Seals while he still had it, besides the Cage Bunshin no, anyways, according to what the Hokage had said. But who was to say that he hadn't learned from others? Naruto smirked. I don't want to be arrogant. He formed the cross-ram seal, and going along with this cue, the Kyuubi helped him to convert his chakra into elements necessary for the element-specific clones. 6 bunchins formed around him. You guys know what to do. Water, fight her with a 10. She'll think you're more dangerous and try to take you out first, just to make sure she gets wet. Hey, stop laughing, you perv. Lightning, you'll fight her with a baton. Enforce it with chakra. If it hits her, she'll get electrocuted. If that fails, the wind clone will do a collaboration with the fire clone. I'll throw some weapons from afar to distract her with the normal Cage Bunshin. The Iwa clone will try to hold her legs using the Shinjitsu no Jutsu, double decapitation suicide technique, if I have to go through with the final technique to blow everything up. Everyone got that? Yeah. They all exclaimed mentally, too loud in Naruto's opinion actually. The woman watched Naruto, and his clones just stand there before 2 of them came to fight her, while another 3 jumped into the trees, making sure to keep her eyes on the real one. The one with the 10 made a horizontal swipe with it in no predetermined stance. The clone did it on purpose, allowing the woman to easily dispose of him. But she didn't right away. Instead, she toyed with him and made fun of his earlier claims of being stronger than he appeared. She played right into it. This is pathetic. The clone had no response except to continue slashing at her wildly. She quickly took out a kunai and blocked a slash aimed at her throat. Oh hell, he really intended to follow through with killing me. The boy had both his hands on his ten, his right on the handle, and the left palm on the flat of the blade, and tried to push her kunai out of the way. But she wasn't an elite nin for nothing. She let his ten slide off the kunai, making him waste his pushing effort. She then punched him in the jaw, feeling a bit satisfied and comfortable in her superiority. But her hand came away wet. Water bunchin was her last thought before she was suddenly soaked with chakra-created water. She didn't understand the purpose of this, but couldn't afford to underestimate him. She readied a jinjutsu and was about to cast it on herself to make her seem as if she disappeared when she had to suddenly duck a baton. The other clone who had rushed her earlier but stayed out of the action, now tried to strike her with his blunt weapon. The woman raised her arm to block it since it wasn't sharp, but she instantly regretted the action. The damn thing hurt like hell. The boy started to subtly channel chakra into it, ensuring that she would more likely be hurt even more if he scored another hit. The red-eyed woman caught the baton on his next swing and kneed him in the gut. She didn't feel any remorse. After all, the boy possessed the spirit that killed her father, and provided her with the extra drive that she was dealing out some wretched justice to the brat. However, she literally received a shocking surprise when the boy exploded into electricity and electrocuted her. With a scream of pain, the woman exploded into smoke, revealing that she had substituted for a log. The woman walked out from behind a tree, unscathed. Naruto lifted an eyebrow from where he watched the woman re-enter the clearing. That was all well and good. He didn't expect to get her on the first try. Suddenly he got memories of the clone he had sent to talk to Hinata and Shino. They had agreed to his plan. He readied 3 with bomb tags in his right hand and started to count time in his head. Let everyone wait for the signal. In the meantime, the woman watched the final 2 Narutos in the clearing. They still hadn't moved. It was a bit unnerving, seeing them just stare at her like that. She wouldn't underestimate him again. He took this a bit too seriously. The clones jumped apart and started going through hand seals. Kaden. Nkakik no Jutsu fire release. Great fireball technique. Wind blew a rather large fireball, and it followed with a flamethrower. Ton. To top a wind release. Great breakthrough, the other shouted and proceeded to blow a gale force wind that kept getting stronger and encircled her. She didn't even blink when the fireball hit the wind maelstrom that turned into a giant inferno. Pour it on. The fire clone yelled, before creating another fireball. Suddenly 3 kunai sailed out of the forest canopy into the collaboration, and the tags on them exploded, courtesy of Naruto himself. That pretty much guaranteed that if Kurenai was in there, she was only coming out in a bag. But she was a Chunin after all, Naruto thought to himself. People didn't get to that rank by making foolish mistakes. The 2 clones dispelled, one into fire and the other into wind, leaving the genin to wait for the smoke to clear, so they could see the results. Kurenai walked out of the still clearing smoke and disappeared. Shit. Jinjutsu. Where is she? Naruto looked around and heard fighting to the south end of the training ground. After using chakra to augment his leg muscles, he dashed to a tree that was overlooking the area. It seemed that Hinata and Shino had been discovered and were fighting the red-eyed woman. Even though they had had the numerical advantage, they were still too weak to overpower her. The woman danced in and around Hinata's Chiken strikes and cuffed her in the chest, almost like a push away from herself. The woman then kicked away Shino's right leg in the same breath and punched him in the gut. The hapless boy transformed into a swarm of insects. In the same instant, Shino suddenly dropped on the branch beside Naruto, startling him. Shit. Naruto hissed fiercely before he saw who it was. What the hell, Shino? She has defeated my insect bunchin. Presently, my strongest insects are in her more hard-to-reach areas feeding on her chakra. Soon she'll be weak. Do you have a plan? I don't have a plan. Only an idea. But it's overkill. Naruto gave the boy next to him an intent look. Think I should do it? When Shino asked how strong this powerful move was going to be, Naruto replied, powerful enough for you to leave this training ground altogether. Abiram stared at him, trying to look for evidence of a lie, but couldn't find any. He's serious. What scared him was that Naruto actually had firm belief in what he was going to do, and that he was willing to go through with it. Very well. What do we do? Get Hinata out of here. I'm going to throw kunai and shuriken to stall Kurenai. Abiram nodded and jumped down to join Hinata. Well Kurama, what do you think? Personally, I think it's too fucking over the top. And that's coming from a bitch who raised the village. The fox suddenly laughed. Do it. Naruto grinned. He started chucking all his kunai and shuriken at Kurenai, occupying her, while Shino grabbed Hinata and leapt away with her. He started counting to 20. I never actually did this before. Hope I don't get myself killed. The sensei continued dodging weapons thrown at her. Some were thrown aimed at her chest, some at her legs and others around her. It felt as if he was driving her somewhere. Suddenly, she felt two legs grab her ankles and dragged her underground till only her head was left above ground. What? Naruto dropped down a tree in front of her and slow clapped. Well, Kurenai-sensei. Here we are. You are about to find out about my final and most destructive technique. Just so you know, it doesn't really matter if I'm right, but I fucking love proving people wrong. The woman merely looked at him, uninterested. But she was actually reading a substitution if she got an injury. Taj Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He yelled as he formed the ram seal and strained. Soon, his features grew feral, red eyes and whiskers and all. The woman could no longer feign disinterest. Is the seal breaking? Suddenly, an immense amount of clones puffed into existence. The woman gasped. It was surreal. The boy was practically his own army. There were hundreds, probably even thousands of them. They took up every available space, on the ground, in the trees, everywhere. Suddenly the original Naruto shunshed off while Iki still gaped. Where is he going? She did not like this situation, and she quickly substituted with a nearby clone and got out of the hole. So this is your plan? To try and overwhelm me with numbers? She smirked. This might have been the tactic that he used to beat Mizuki, she thought, but it wouldn't work. She could easily outmaneuver them all if she had to, or to simply use another genjutsu. No? If it were that, the boss wouldn't have left. This is far too dangerous. What? Too dangerous for Naruto to stay. The woman grew worried. Suddenly all the feral clones formed the ram seal, and started glowing a faint white. The woman's eyes grew wide when she heard what the clones shouted next. Kage Bunshin Daibakuha. Time skip. It was a fairly ordinary day in Konohagakure. Business people were haggling, customers were buying, akimichis were eating, and naras were lazing around and the like. There was absolutely nothing that would or could break the peace of a typical Monday. Naruto came out of his shunshin and appeared at Training Ground 3. The boy was about to see if the concept of having a localized and concentrated blast of exploding clones was as capable as he believed. He couldn't wait. Suddenly, he heard a massive shout that was carried over the wind. Taj Kage Bunshin Daibakuha. Then there was pure, unadulterated silence. Only for a moment. The air seemingly tense before ultimate chaos ensued and reigned supreme for what seemed for eternity. A massive chakra-created explosion centered in Training Ground 4 rippled through it, destroying all that was caught up in its maelstrom. The white plume of the explosion that climbed into the sky could be seen by anyone in the village who was outside at the time. Hell yes. Boom. This tops every I have ever done or seen. Naruto was ecstatic, he was never going to forget it. He sighed, coming down from his frenzied high. But he didn't stop to think of the consequences. Not really, right at that moment, per se. Time skip. Frankly, this is the stupidest thing you've ever done, Naruto. Hiruzen didn't know what to feel. Angry that Naruto destroyed a whole training ground, sad that Naruto had lied about what he had learned, happy that Naruto was now really strong enough to take care of himself, or pissed that this situation was going to cause a shitload of paperwork. The damn thing was practically multiplying on his desk every time he blinked his eyes. The old man put on the face required by his office that screamed, Naruto, you've really stepped in it this time. But the boy had no regrets marrying his countenance. It was an awesome and a destructive technique when clones were used in bulk. Even if he had to replant and grow every tree that was blown up into splinters, he would do it happily. Naruto was seated in front of the Hokage, while Kurenai and the rest of teammates stood behind him. And behind them were Shibi Abiram and Hiashi Haga. No doubt that they were angry that Naruto nearly blew their children to smithereens. Thinking of the future repercussions, the aged Sarutobi couldn't help but sigh. Naruto, did you even stop to think of the complications and consequences? Naruto was impassive. Hokage-sama, I did stop to think about them before I did them. If I had used offensive elemental bunshins like her clones, the damage would have been significantly greater, and possibly start a forest fire that would spread to other training grounds. Elemental bunshins used in a Daibakuha. Hiruzen nearly paled at the concept. That may be Naruto, but the fact remains why you did it at all. Naruto was prepared for that one. Kurenai-sensei told us to go for broke. So I did. The laws state that if one leaf ninja kills another leaf ninja by any means other than self-defense, the killer's life is forfeit. It's not as if it's murder. She told us to do it. Even if a mere Jonin had killed my Jonin-sensei who practically told us to try and kill her had succeeded in doing so, 1. It wouldn't have been murder, and 2. It would have meant that the standards for Jonin quality is looking pretty low. Kurenai nodded. That was true. Then what of Hinata, you wretch? Was her life forfeit in your attempts to kill your sensei? Hiashi spat. Did you not care if anything were to befall her? Shibi spoke up for the first time. That's not entirely true, Hiashi-san. He pushed his shades a bit further up his nose while speaking. My son told me that Naruto warned him that his next technique would be quite potent, and told him to leave with Hinata-san. In fact, he went on to explain that he got out of the blast radius with a bit more than enough time to spare. Are you defending the boy's inappropriate use of destructive techniques, Shibi-san? Hiashi glared. No. With all things considered, however, Naruto-san did nothing wrong. They were on a training ground doing a training exercise. The teacher's words, in a sense, stated that each person should give his best, and Naruto honored the demand. Naruto told everyone of his potentially destructive behavior, even going as far as to warn them beforehand. No one perished, or even injured. The only expense was the training ground which Shibi trailed off. Has no owners. Naruto finished. Sarutobi sighed. They were correct on all points. The training ground was free for everyone to use. If you got injured there, it was basically your own fault. If no one owned the land, no one could be sued for injuries sustained there. Furthermore, since no one owned the land, Naruto didn't have to pay anyone for any damages. In short, Naruto blew a training ground to hell, and he got to walk away whistling, scot-free. He needed to find some way to amend that loophole. Later. These are all true statements. Naruto has nothing binding him to any problems. Hiruzen stated. He looked at everyone's reaction. Shibi, Shino and Naruto were emotionless. Hiashi was giving a death stare at the blonde. Hinata was uneasy, and Kurenai seemed a bit upset. She had probably wanted the boy to get some sort of punishment for actually coming close to putting her down. Probably because Naruto didn't get into trouble. She still needs to pull her act together and look past his prisoner's sins. Sandaime thought. Shibi-san, Hiashi-san, you're free to leave. The clan heads left, leaving teammate with the Hokage. Kurenai, would you recount what had transpired? Hiruzen asked. The red-eyed woman obliged and told him of all what had happened. The only details she spared were her feelings for the boy at the time. Naruto suspected her anyway, and besides, she was sure the Hokage knew them already. When I realized this, I performed a quick shunshin, not heeding where I would end up. However, I arrived at Training Ground 7, interrupting Team 7's meeting and introductions. That's the conclusion, Hokage-sama. The Hokage seemed to be in deep thought. So what is your assessment of their skills? The genin looked to their teacher, two of them hoping they made a good impression. The third one, in particular, didn't care much either way. Shino shows promise in his clan's techniques, maintaining a somewhat pacifist behavior in fighting. He uses his clan's insects in an effort to weaken and incapacitate me beforehand. Hinata also shows some skill in using the gentle fist. However, she lacks confidence to fully follow through with her more debilitating jabs. I think that could be remedied over time. Naruto demonstrates fairly good tactics, diversity in fighting, and is overall a heavy hitter. In force alone, Naruto could be Chunin level, while his tactics are Chunin level. Unfortunately, he lacks experience on a real battlefield, so he may only appear excellent on paper. Kurenai said. Naruto grumbled to himself about the last part. Even when he knew he was strong, she was using not so subtle insinuations to tear him down. I knew that if Kiba had been on this team, we would have been a tracker team, but I believe we are well-rounded this way. I am a Jinjutsu expert, Shino has tracking abilities, Hinata is versed into Jutsu, and can use her Byakugan for sensing, and Naruto will be an ninjutsu brawler. We would be able to be effective in combat at all ranges and situations. Naruto opened his eyes a little wider. So, she is somewhat happy to be on this team, even with me. Perhaps I could try to make this work after all. The Hokage made a note of what she said. Interesting. It seems that your theory has merit. Very well. So I take it that you will pass this team. Hi, Hokage-sama. You may leave teammate. Kurenai turned to her team. We shall meet for training at 7 AM at Training Ground 4. It's destroyed. Remember? Naruto smirked. Kurenai stared at the boy frigidly. We'll meet at Training Ground 3 instead. The team collected themselves and ushered their way through the door, Naruto last. As he was about to step through, the Hokage called out. Naruto, I wish to speak to you tomorrow at 4 PM. Hi, Hokage-sama. Naruto remained formal. He left and shut the door behind him. He's still so non-casual with me. Is it because he found out about the fox in a more disastrous fashion than hearing it from me? The Hokage could only ruminate on his radical theories. Before he could get any further, the door pushed open to reveal his secretary with a stack of papers which she placed on his desk. Most of that consists of complaints regarding the explosion at Training Ground 4, Hokage-sama, not to mention the Shinobus's concerns that we might be under attack. Here's inside. It had been a bare half hour since the explosion, and there was this much paperwork regarding it. He really needed to throw his hat to some other poor sap. Time skip. He walked aimlessly round the commercial area of Konoha. He could see the young people fraternizing, businesses thriving, overall, everyone was happy. Damn. It really wasn't fair. Why did everyone else get to be happy when he didn't? These are unsafe orders, boy. What? Why would you think of their happiness? It would only cause the opposite to you. Why would you even want happiness? Do you want to be happy? Naruto stopped. Did he want to be happy? He wanted to answer yes, but the fox never asked him a question like that, unless it was to make him think. Naruto hazarded his answer. Hi. Why? And don't give me that life isn't fair crap. Kuzo. I lived on my own, Kurama. I've had the shit beaten out of me as a child. I went hungry without food, got sick eating spoiled food, and wore rags for clothes. I think I deserve some happiness. I've had it coming to me for a long time. When the hell is it gonna get here? Kurama nodded. Happiness is also a foolish emotion. The cloud's judgment creates insecurities about future problems, causes complacency, and the list goes on. Frankly, have you forgotten being a happy idiot? No? But it's still not fair though. I'm not asking for endless happiness, just a little. I can't even call the Sandang Jiji anymore. Well, I knew about you, I didn't know about an S-rank secret that I wasn't meant to know. Even if he had told me himself and that I couldn't blab it out to everyone, it wouldn't have been so bad. Oh, fuck. Cry me a river. Why couldn't I have been sealed in someone more emotionally stable? It just had to be some poor kid bemoaning his hand in life. Naruto chuckled. Shut up. At least we're friends, Kurama. Not everyone can boast about having a bitch for a friend, you know. Kurama grinned. Friends. I prefer acquaintances or even business partners. Not friends. Naruto sighed. The fox was probably kidding. He continued walking, ignoring all the glares and hushed whispers. He couldn't be hurt. Not anymore. If a ninja was attacked by civilians, he could defend himself, just short of killing. If someone wanted to get physical, Naruto would be sure to break a few bones. He was soon stopped by his growling stomach. He needed to get some food now, and some food for home. His eyes soon fell on a dango shop, combined with a bar inside. Dango? He raised an eyebrow. Might as well. It's not like they can throw me out like when I was smaller. He made his way to it and entered. The shop was moderately full, indicating popularity and prosperity. Looking around for the counter, trying to pierce the gathering with his eyes, he soon found it, and made his way to it. He ordered a dozen skewers of the treat they specialized in, and by luck, the person serving there didn't recognize his face due to their short-sightedness. He was about to leave with his bag of food when he heard his name called. Naruto. A minute of your time. He looked over to where he heard the voice and cursed under his breath. Why were they of all people calling to him? He didn't want anything to do with them unless it was absolutely necessary. But he couldn't pretend that he didn't notice them. He had already seen them, and they knew that. Shit. Just see what they want. If it lasts longer than you wish it to be, just complain that they said a minute and that you're busy. Simple. Just be a douche, the nine-tailed fox urged. Naruto sighed. May as well see what they want. The boy with the vulpine visage sauntered over to the three genin, who were speaking in hushed tones with each other. Apparently Kurenai did not want to talk with him, but Asuma had insisted. The third person with the mask and gravity-defying gray hair merely looked at Naruto with interest. Naruto pulled up the fourth empty chair and sat in it, scrutinizing the genin. So what? Gonna invite me to a frat? Asuma faked a smile at the boy's jeer. Kurenai stared at him with her usual unnerving gaze, and Kakashi took out his worn-looking orange book labeled Ichirochi Paradise. Probably his way of being casual and indifferent, or to make it look like he's not looking directly at me, Naruto thought. Well, I believe that we got off to a poor understanding of each other. Asuma began. I apologize for refusing help when you needed it, and I hope for it to not reoccur. I didn't mean to become tempestuous. Naruto nodded slowly. I'm sorry too. I should have reined in my emotions better and not let my frustration get the best of me. I'm also sorry for insulting my superiors and insulting the village's ideals. It's kind of hard to not think that everyone's out to get me because I'm a Jinchuriki, you know. But I'll never forget. Asuma raised an eyebrow. Well, I'm glad that it's now water under the bridge. What do you mean when you say you'll never forget? Naruto smirked, finally able to brag about himself a little. Let's just say that I'm a savant. A really damned good one. Kakashi raised his visible eyebrow. I find that hard to believe, considering what I've heard pertaining to your abysmal grades at the academy. But I need to look underneath. Something feels oddly familiar. Minato once claimed that he himself needed to become a savant. Well, let's see if my memory serves me well enough. You are Kakashi Haddock, dubbed as the copycat ninja, due to having a transplanted Sharingan that was used to copy numerous. Son of Tsukumo Haddock, Kano has White Fang. Jin and teammates were in Nahara and Obito Uchiha. Naruto hesitated, not knowing how the man was coping with the death of his squad. Perished during the Third Great Shinobi War. The team's Chunin sensei was Minato Namikaze, who later became the fourth Hokage. I think that those are the more important details, right? The three Chunin were surprised. This was supposed to be the academy's dead last. Asuma Sarutobi also has an equally impressive history, becoming one of the Fire Daimyo's Guardian Shinobi 12. Unfortunately, all I could find on Sensei was that she was your genuine teammate, along with Raito Namiyashi. Sorry Kurenai-sensei, you're only a bit better known than the average shinobi. Maybe it's for the best. I'm sure you wouldn't want someone out for your head. Or thinking that you're easy pickings, he mumbled the last under his breath, but she must have heard it or read his lips. The marrying scowl on her face was a testament to this. Asuma frowned. Well, you're right on all the details. Kurenai glared at Asuma, who quickly went on. But why do you make it sound like you have it in for her, even going as far as to level a whole training ground in a training exercise? I don't really just dislike her. I dislike you all equally, he grinned wryly at this. It keeps me unbiased. Maybe you none at all since we apologize to each other and all. Naruto stated matter-of-factly. The question remains. Why? Kakashi asked. He really didn't want his sensei's son to be at odds with him. Minato was probably the closest thing Kakashi could call a friend. Family, even. She was prejudiced against me for having the Kyuubi in me. You alded. So I decided to use exploding clones. If she had taught me the regular Bunshin, the explosion wouldn't have happened. Hell, I learned more in the Mizuki incident in a single night than I have learned my whole life in Konoha. So anytime sensei sees me use clones or do well in general, she won't be able to take credit for it. It will be a lasting reminder of what she did or didn't do. That goes for all of you, including you Kakashi. So you blew up a training ground because Kurenai doesn't seem to like you. That's petty. Asuma concluded. And stupidly dangerous. I don't like people who don't like me. It's common sense and karma, not being petty. Meanwhile, on the inside, Kurama was trying to puzzle out a way to ease Naruto's cohesion with his genin team. Chances were that if he didn't do something, Naruto's friction with Kurenai would get them both into trouble, and they needed to get out of the village on a mission soon. Boy, tell the woman that I'm sorry for her father. Tell them I was merely seeking revenge against the village. Anything but the truth about the Uchiha has control 12 years ago, Urido. Naruto, you spaced out a little. Asuma said. Naruto didn't want to even think about Kurama's sudden change of heart. Perhaps he felt guilty about causing Naruto's sensei to dislike him, or just simply lying. Whatever, the Kyuubi had never lied to him before or steered him wrong. It didn't matter. He'll just go with it and see what happens. Kurenai-sensei. The woman looked at him intently, listening. Sorry for trying to blow you up, Naruto deadpanned. Kakashi and Sarutobi chuckled. Then he leaned forward and beckoned the woman to come closer as well, which she did. Furry 9 just said that he apologizes for your father. It was nothing personal. He was just out for revenge on the village as a whole, because Hashirama and Madara used him like a tool. Kurenai widened her eyes. What? Naruto leaned back and stood. Well, gotta go. See ya. He took up his bag of dango and left the establishment, waving his hand backwards as he did. Asuma, Kakashi. Kurenai looked towards the exit where she saw Naruto had left before turning back to her fellow senseis. He just told me that Kyuubi is sorry about my two-sen. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Are you sure that Naruto didn't just say that to get into your good graces? After all, he seems well informed. It could be that he found out about your father through some research. Naruto doesn't seem to be the type to lie, much less needlessly. Asuma argued. Besides, it's not as if he would try to make amends, just to be on familiar terms with Kurenai. He hates her, and that much is obvious. It's something to think about. If what he said is true, then the Kyuubi must be on regular speaking terms with Naruto. What if it's trying to trick him, or worse, what if the seal is failing? Kakashi asked. This is troubling. We have to inform the Hokage. Well, in any case, whether Naruto is telling the truth or not, or if the fox is sincere or not, I'll consider the thought. I'll tell the Hokage myself. Kurenai got up, waved to her friends and left in a body flicker. Time skip. Naruto sat on the park bench and took his vitamin supplements. He needed to bring his body back up to speed as quickly as possible, now that he was a fully fledged ninja. He began to eat his dango and found that he enjoyed it, albeit a little too sweet. I'll burn it off in training though. Anyway, do you think they'll tell the Hokage about the apology, Kurama? Probably. It's also a good way to tell the Hokage that he could have been more informative. Then again, you can't really hold it against him though. After all, would you tell an S-rank secret to your former idiotic persona? Naruto stopped chewing and paused to consider this. No. The Great Fox grunted. Well, try to contact the clones, check in on their progress. Naruto considered the idea. Alright. He tried to focus on his clones. He didn't have names for them. He could only identify them by their duty. Hello. Hospital clone. What's going on? What? Oh. Thought I was being haunted or something. Listen. I need you over here within the hour. Or make another clone to replace me. Why? I learned 2 medical courses over here, and I've had to practice it in front of a nurse. I'm gonna run out of chakras soon. Naruto realized the dilemma. Alright. Tell them that you're going for some fresh air in exactly half an hour. What does your transformation look like? The clone imagined his description. You see it. Yeah. Naruto chewed on another skewer of the dango. You'll see another clone then. You can dispel then, let him learn through the usual memory transfer, and everyone is happy. Nice. By the way, you better eat your dinner and go to bed early. I've seen people after surgery. Trust me, it's disgusting, and you'll probably end up vomiting or straight up lose your appetite. Do you have any idea how fucked up a cancerous intestinal system looks? Naruto did a double take. I'll keep that in mind. Now, what about the library clones? Yeah? Kurama interjected. This is still messed up. You're talking to yourself. Shut up, Kurama, everyone yelled in thought. It's not funny. Anyway, what were you saying, clone number 1? Hey. Wait a minute, the other library clone hollered in mind speak. Why the hell am I number 2? Stay out of this, 2 clone. The first clone apparently yelled. I don't need the headache. Whatever. What were you saying? Naruto interrupted, hoping that they'd get to the point. We're making good headway. I have read 40 books in Saturday, and my fellow clones here read around 36. Some of them were really thick books. I actually read more than you. Naruto sighed, already feeling a migraine starting to brew up. Continue number 1. The librarian let us stay reading at night though. He mentioned that someone else did what they are doing now. The yandere. Naruto raised an eyebrow. He did what we're doing now? Hi. We'll last for another week though. Gonna need some more chakra by Saturday. That's fine. I'll swing by then. Okay. Naruto tried mentally reaching for the last clone in the orphanage, but couldn't. Guess it doesn't apply to that one. After all, Kurama made him years ago, and he's not really a cage bunshin. Naruto shook his head. Life was certainly getting interesting, never a dull moment. There weren't any pauses, though. Ito was out there, somewhere. He needed to find him and end him. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.